You are listening to Lorehammer, Episode 8, Humanity, Age of the Imperium.
Hello and welcome back to Lorehammer. My name is Eric.
And I'm Mark, and I've been addicted to plastic since the 2000s.
Hi, Mark.
I didn't know this was one of those kind of meetings.
Isn't it? Am I in?
I thought we were doing an intervention.
Intervention?
Intervention? Intervention?
Yeah. Sweet. This is Jordan. What's up, folks?
And today joining us, we have one of our other friends. His name is Rio. Say hello.
Hello.
Rio's just another guy that Mark somehow sank his claws into and brought into Warhammer.
Yes.
It's definitely true.
Yeah. Rio, we just had a couple questions. Really, like, this entire thing is your fault.
Wow. Like, how much do my parents pay you all to be my friends?
An exorbitant amount of money.
Like, it has to be. Like, that
Yeah.
That can be the only reason why so many
I don't
people
hang out
do
you-
Warhammer for me.
Yeah, I don't hang out with you because I like you. I hang out because your parents pay me the big bucks. And it's been that way for 10 plus years. So, yeah. So, Rio, got a couple questions that I'm going to get you to answer.
Okay.
What is your earliest memory of 40K?
So I was homeschooled for 2 years in elementary, and one of my friends.
That's unfortunate.
Yes, it was very unfortunate. But
What's more unfortunate, that he was homeschooled or then he went to East Side?
I don't have an answer for that one. It's a toss-up.
Yeah. Either way, so I was at one of my friend's house and we were supposed to be doing schoolwork, but he had a box of Dark Eldar. And we ended up just playing with them like they were action figures. They weren't even painted, I don't think, but we would just kind of like move them around with our hands and kind of like, shoot their guns. And
Who is
stuff.
that?
Was it Daniel?
No.
Oh.
No. You do know him. I'll tell you after.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so like little G.I. Joes, really. You're
Yeah,
playing
pretty
with
much.
them.
Oh, and also that same day, so he had a copy of the 40K rulebook, the big thick one.
Oh, like the 5th edition huge one?
Yeah,
It would
yeah.
have been,
And
Or 4th even.
probably like that,
Yeah.
for some reason during that day, we came to the conclusion that it was like the equivalent of a satanic Bible. So he actually literally put it into his barbecue pit and we literally burned it.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, if it was the 4th edition, it did have like a skull with like an iron halo around it.
That was the one.
Yeah.
Now I'm really curious who that was, yeah. That's
Satanic
awesome.
Bible. You perform purifying rites over top of it?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. All right. What grabs your attention the most about 40K? What entices you towards it? What gives you the jimmies?
Yeah, for me, it's definitely the lore. I like how expansive it is and how elaborate it is, and it's also really fleshed out too. But I think the thing that separates it from other sci-fi lore is there's such great there's no equivalent in other forms of sci-fi or other sci-fi lore that I've seen to the equivalent of the Emperor. Of that some being with that immense power. I've never seen that in
Yeah.
Yeah,
'cause
even if you go to like Star Wars and you're like, is it the Emperor
Palpatine?
Oh, it is
Palpatine,
Emperor Palpatine.
yeah.
Like, he's powerful, but like not like the Emperor
Not
powerful.
right, yeah.
Like,
or there's not like chaos gods. Or
yeah,
There are like other people in other lore, but none of them which interact so deeply
Yeah.
with regular people.
Right.
Most of them kind of like they stand off, and everyone has like the non-interference pact or whatever mode.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this guy was hands-on.
Oh, definitely. I like that it's just so much greater than humanity. Like, humanity's just this tiny, tiny little speck in the 40K universe. I mean, not tiny speck, but...
Yeah.
like if you look at any race, each race has just as much of a fleshed out backstory.
Yeah, definitely.
Than humanity, I mean. But,
Sure. Yeah.
yeah, like it's all developed.
Yeah. What is so Rio is a guy who's actually played a lot of tabletop with Mark and I.
Not a lot.
Oh, sorry,
Not a
no,
lot.
I'm thinking of something else. Okay, never mind. Tabletop as in actual tabletop 40K. Okay. What is your best memorable moment of playing tabletop with us? Because you're right, you haven't played too much.
Yeah. And I was trying to think about this, and kind of the conclusion I came to was I'm pretty sure I've lost every game that I've played with you guys. So
Well, if it's against Mark, it's definitely a
yeah,
loss.
and I think I've mostly played against Mark for some reason.
Yeah, because who else would invite you to their house at 10 o'clock at night to play Warhammer? Not me.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I've blocked most of it out of my memory, but
I remember the one game you were playing against Steven, and I think it was Grey Knights versus Tau.
yeah.
And then, like, it was such a close battle the entire way. And then, like, the game literally came down to, like, the last dice roll on who would win. I forget who won, but
I'm pretty sure I lost.
I think you did. Yeah, because you kept on rolling off the table and
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh no! If you can't hit the table,
Yeah, it doesn't count. You get rid of that dice. Counts as a miss. But
Jeez.
yeah, that was a good game because everyone was just so into it. It came down to the last like couple dice rolls, and it was a good game.
Yeah. No, it is fun. I just don't think I'm very good at it.
Okay, and not to blindside you today, but I do have a question that is not included on the ones that we gave him. We're about to start a 40k RPG, and I need your answer right now of whether or not you want to participate in that. And it better be yes, or else that door is getting locked, and we're gassing this room.
Yes, the answer is
Oh,
yes.
perfect. There we go. Perfect. That was all I
Happy
needed.
ending.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, guys.
The question was, do I want to? Yes.
Oh no. Are you going to?
Oh, I can't answer that.
Jordan, lock the door.
It's locked.
It's okay. We'll win you over by the time this episode is done. I'm confident
Sounds
in
good.
that. I was just thinking, Rio referred to Warhammer as a sci-fi.
Yeah.
That is an entire topic for debate in and of itself.
Oh gosh.
Is this a fantasy or is it a sci-fi?
It's a sci-fi up until like you talk about the warp and the chaos.
Exactly.
Gods. Yeah. Then it's
But-
like a fantasy.
But why though? It's not magical. It's
It is because it's unexplainable. You
Yeah.
can't quantify it.
no, it's just energy. Like it's an alternate parallel universe or parallel dimension. Like,
Right.
Like that can be quantified and like
Well,
to me it
can you explain
yeah.
exactly how the warp works using scientific terms?
Yeah, that's what the Emperor was doing and stuff, and like that's.
Yeah, but he did it, but we can't. So it's
I'm not smart. I can't explain anything.
Right,
You can
yeah.
ask me how my shoes get tied, and I say, "Well, I bought them tied, and they stayed
It's
tied."
stayed tied
you know,
forever.
like
My wife does it for me.
I don't know.
No.
It's
I get your point. Like it's a lot more scientific than say like Star Wars is.
but nowhere
No,
near as much
midichlorians.
as like Star Trek.
yeah.
Midichlorians.
Midichlorians.
The whole term midichlorians turns Star Wars into a sci-fi.
Maybe.
Because you can measure it. You can quantify it. You can say, we can measure the amount of midichlorians in someone's blood, and now we know how force sensitive they are.
You can
Well-
measure how many demons are invading your planet, and now they're
Like I don't know if any of you guys have ever gotten into Star Trek at all, but
Little
like
bit.
He has.
yeah, like Star Trek is it's probably the most sci-fi of any sci-fi like fiction, but except when you get to like the Qs, who are just like
Yeah.
these godlike characters who can do anything appear, and they're omnipotent, they're omniscient, like but they're benevolent in a way, right?
Gotcha.
Like so
They harbor no ill will.
yeah, exactly, right? Like, and everything, sort of all the decision. Well, that's maybe not totally true, but anyways, yeah, like the cues are kind of like unexplainable. Like you can't.
Right.
It's almost like a fantasy.
Like you can
Yeah.
attempt to understand them, but you never have a true grasp. And that's what I feel the warp is. Like,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can try, because if you really claim it, well, you're just a heretic and we're going to kill you and burn you.
you're dabbling too much in warp magic.
Exactly.
But the question is, does like the 40k universe, do they claim that there's like a scientific explanation to the warp?
The
Yeah.
Emperor,
Most
that's his
people
whole...
would like.
well,
Depends on what time frame or
That's
what
true.
race you are. Like if you're
Humanity
an Eldar,
would, though.
humanity depending on the time frame. Like if you're talking like Great Crusade humanity, they would
Yes.
know. Well, actually, no, because it was a secret then, kind of.
oh, that's
To, like,
right. It was very limited.
Yeah, like they.
But when there was like the Age of Strife and they had the entire Psyker outbreak, they were starting to become more accepted.
Yeah. So it depends on what time frame and like.
I guess it's like hard to compare like 40k to say something like The Martian, you know, which is like
That's a sci-fi.
Yeah,
that's like a
true
science
sci-
fiction,
yeah.
but that's like very within the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
right? But this is like very outside the realm
Yeah.
of possibility.
I think that is the appeal to it, though, is that it is a sci-fi, but it goes so far, into fantasy territory.
Yeah, it really does. Which is like, I'm a fantasy guy. Like, I'm not really one for big machines, guns, and space travel. But when you're talking about warp, I'm for it.
I'm just a fan of genocide. That's why I like 40K.
There's lots of it.
Yeah.
You fit right at home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
You
I would like fantasy battles, but there's just
You are
not
like
as
blonde
much.
hair, blue eyed. Also,
Oh boy. Danger.
I think it's that Aryan in you.
Get it? Yeah.
Well, let's. I guess this episode, the title of it is Humanity: Age of Imperium.
Yep.
We just finished our train wreck of an episode, Horus Heresy, which shall never be brought up or spoken of again until we have the time to go into specific moments.
Until we have 50 episodes of
Yeah,
time that we
dedicated.
can put into it.
Right. Yeah.
Perfect.
But it was kind of cool. We received an email from someone who had been listening, and we just wanted to share it with you guys.
Yeah, he had a neat take on the missing Primarchs.
Yeah, his name is Clayton, and he's from Arkansas. And
So I was trying to... I'm not good
You mean
at reading.
Arkansas?
yeah, definitely Arkansas.
Yeah, and I was trying to read that where I'm like, I've never heard of this place. Like, I thought I was mildly intelligent, but now I know that I'm justified in my confusion.
Well, no, I just like that Arkansas. Or sorry, now I'm saying it wrong. I just like that Arkansas and Kansas, like, they're so similar in words.
Spelt the same.
Right, and yet they're pronounced completely differently. So thank you, English language, for setting me up for failure.
I've been to Arkansas.
Was it fun?
Yeah, I've been to the Ozarks in Arkansas. But
Yeah.
anyways, just an aside.
Were you laundering money?
Nope.
Were you working for the
Cartel?
the cartel or
No.
the poppy heroin farmers?
No, I was just doing a little bit of hiking.
Just a filthy hippie.
Yeah.
Out in the forest.
Yeah.
Pretty sure you were doing heroin. I can't think of any other reason you'd go to the Ozarks.
Whatever you say, Eric.
So I'm just gonna read his email. It's not too long, but
No.
he says, "My personal favorite theory is that the Forgotten Primarch died as an infant, and the Purged Primarch suffered some sort of Xenos corruption. Possibly sympathy towards the Xenos, but more likely captured and turned into a weapon much like Angron. My issue with the blank/pariah idea is that those genes were ostensibly seeded by the Necrons, and given that the Emperor created the Primarchs from scratch, he would have had to deliberately include the gene, which I find unlikely. If the Emperor used his own genetic material to make the Primarchs, then it is possible that the missing Primarch had the blank/pariah gene, but that would mean the Emperor had to have the gene, and I have a hard time believing that to be the case, given that he is such a powerful psyker. Side note, it is possible that the Purged Primarch had a genetic defect so egregious that the Primarch and his entire legion were wiped out by the Space Wolves, and the Ultramarines were only bolstered by the Marines instead of
Words.
Yeah. His entire legion was wiped out by the Space Wolves, and the Ultramarines were only bolstered by the Marines of one extra legion instead of two. So the Space Wolves take care of one legion, the
Yeah.
Ultramarines absorb the other.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. There's a couple things I like in there, a couple things I don't like.
well, that's because you're a party pooper and you don't like anything.
Well, no, the only thing that I don't like is one died as an infant, which can't be true because the Emperor, like, we have a list of the order that each Primarch was discovered.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that one doesn't really work. But the one I really do like is that, so what are the chances that every Primarch landed on a human world? What if a Primarch landed on a Xenos world, right? Like, and he just, like...
Right, he was raised by the Xenos.
And you know how, like, every Primarch, like, really, like, goes all in with, like, the culture?
Yeah.
So he goes all in on this Xenos culture.
That's like super accepting and
Yeah.
like just
Or they might not even be, like...
super
he's-
racist, but only, for their own.
Yeah, so...
Yeah.
Who knows how that worked? But I kind of do like that idea where one is like a Xenos sympathizer, and then when he joins the Great Crusade, he's like, I'm not doing it. Like, I'm not wiping out the galaxy. Like, yeah.
Yeah, especially because like the flaw is with the Primarchs and not the legions themselves.
Yeah.
So I like that idea. It's
Yeah.
an interesting one. It's one I didn't really think of. I was more thinking like warp corruption, but like Xenos taint works just as well.
Yeah.
So
It's a really well worded email, though.
Yeah. We did a couple emails back and forth, and he seemed like a pretty bright guy.
thank you, Clayton.
But the best was he liked our Lorehammer page, and his profile pic was just like, yes, that's the ideal person I want listening to it.
Yeah.
It was so good. I don't know if you guys seen it, but it was good. He's basically wearing like a cult robe and like a weird like witch doctor mask thing.
I think
and,
of
like,
Plague Doctor.
Plague Doctor, yeah.
when I see that.
And it was just like, yeah, he's holding a sword. It's like, yeah, that's the type of guy I want listening to this
Well,
podcast.
we would have us holding swords if you didn't lose yours.
Didn't lose, was stole. They took it. They took it from us. Yeah,
We would be holding. I just want to say we'd be holding ours.
yeah.
At the very least, we'd be in armor. Mm-hmm. I kind of wish we did that, but you know, there's always room for more pictures.
No, I only had one in me.
You only had one?
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. We got. Anyways. So let's.
Rio just pulled up his picture and it's just like, yeah.
That's amazing. That's the best profile picture I've seen.
Love it.
I think it's pretty great.
Yeah, it was good.
I wonder if like this now that we're on this Facebook profile picture, do you think if like there was a planet that was scorched, would everyone be putting the filter of that planet's flag on their profile picture?
Not in 40K.
in solidarity for the lives lost.
Like the number of planets that are just destroyed, you'd be changing that photo pretty frequently.
Okay.
Not.
Yeah,
The novelty is lost.
exactly. They're like, another 7 billion dead.
Yeah.
So the other thing to note too about his email there was he was talking about how the Necron seeded the pariah gene.
Yes.
And I think that was like a 3rd and 4th edition thing. And then once like the Necron became like the Nucron, like their new version of them, like I think they got rid of that. So
Yeah, in the most recent things I read, I never really saw anywhere that the Necron were responsible for that gene.
yeah, but like I definitely know in the old editions it was. So
Yeah, because
somebody,
the Necron included pariahs in their ranks,
Yeah.
but they don't anymore.
yeah. So somebody do some research for us, email us, and tell.
Someone do our work for us.
Yeah, and tell us like, do the Necrons still have that gene in their current edition of the fluff, or
Right.
was it an old Kron?
Gosh, you're a wretched human. New Kron.
Nucron.
Old Kron.
Well, you know. Yeah. Anything else to know?
No, that's all I got on my list. Let's dive right in. Today, so we ended with the Horus Heresy.
Yeah, let's jump back actually 2 episodes.
Oh gosh. Go for it.
So we talked about the Great Crusade and how the Emperor and his Primarchs went out and conquered the entire galaxy. They conquered like 1 million worlds. And then the Horus Heresy happens, half the legions fall, half the armies fall to chaos, huge civil war, and the outcome is the Emperor is basically not killed.
Body dead.
Body
he's
dead.
a vegetable.
He's a vegetable and interred on the Golden Throne.
Yeah.
A bunch of Primarchs are killed. Well, only 2, I think.
Yeah, but
Only 2.
there's no active Primarchs. If they're not killed, they're missing.
Sure.
No loyalist ones.
Sure. Well, right when we talk about this
Yeah.
episode, they'll still be around. But
Okay, sure. Yeah.
The outcome of the Horus Heresy, and basically the Loyalists wins, and this is kind of where we pick up
Yeah.
after the Siege of Terra.
Okay, yeah. So the main time frame we're going to be talking about too is like right up to 40K, right?
Yeah, basically. So the last like 2 years, I think Games Workshop is kind of like they've come out with like the Curse of the Wolfen, and like then they did like the Fall Acadia and all that. So we're not going to be touching that stuff quite yet. We're going to take you up to the point just before that, kind of just before the 13th Black Crusade.
The 13th.
The 13th.
Okay, so let's kick it off right now. The I guess next kind of age or era that humanity goes through right after the Horus Heresy is the Age of Rebirth.
Yeah, so actually the way it works too, sorry to contradict you.
Do your thing, amigo. It's not like we wrote it down in notes or anything.
No, I know. So the Age of the Imperium is from 30k to 40k, and then these are kind of main events that happen in like the Age of the Imperium. Because like the Age of the Imperium is the history of the Imperium. And then within that they have their own like separate little subcategories. Oh my goodness.
The Age of the Imperium.
Did you not get enough sleep last night?
No, I didn't.
Was I keeping you up with my text messages?
Why were you in bed? Like,
why was I? Because that's where I go when it's midnight.
Man.
I go to bed.
Okay, let's kick it off with the Great Scouring. So this is immediately following the Horus Heresy.
Yeah. So the Battle of Terra is won by the Loyalists, but like half the galaxy is still.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who wins in this scenario. Like, the galaxy is torn.
Yeah, like
So.
Chaos holds some planets.
Yeah.
Imperium holds the other.
Yeah, and just because like Horus died, their figure, like the snake head died, like
Yeah.
there's still a massive army of chaos.
And they
out
still
there.
have like 8 great leaders.
Yeah. Horus was just the best.
Yeah. And so we're going to talk quickly about a couple things that happen in the Horus Heresy that carry on throughout.
Yeah, the main one being the Inquisition.
The main one being the Inquisition is kind of secretly founded but not quite fully established yet.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. The Emperor, right before he hits the bucket, he goes to Malcador the Sigillite, says like, "Hey, I need you to form this." I really like the Inquisition and its forming, so we're not going to go real too deep in it.
Yeah, we are going to have I feel like we say this every episode. We are going to have this episode.
You just have to wait 2 years.
Well, I guess we can tell people. So we did plan out like our next X amount of episodes,
Like 15.
and, yeah. So January 1st, I think.
No, it's like January. It's like the second week of January.
Oh, okay, something like that. Yeah. Then we'll be done like our outline of what's happening, and we'll actually be able to jump into like these massive topics and actually like talk about the topics.
Like you want to talk about like
details.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Oh,
then
the
you should
minutia.
have so you got to suffer through another 6 or 7 episodes.
Yeah. And it is suffer. You will suffer. Yeah. But so
the Inquisition.
Malcador the Sigillite, he starts the Inquisition, he disappears, he makes the Inquisition disappear. 100 years later, after the Emperor is already on the throne, that's when the Inquisition really comes into light.
Yeah.
And it is just a branch of the Empire
That hunts down traitors and
like
heretics.
their whole purpose is just to protect humanity.
Yeah.
Really. So when they're first formed, they are the Ordo Malleus, and they're there.
No, they're not. They're just the Inquisition.
Yeah, but all they are is the Ordo Malleus.
But it's just called the Inquisition.
Okay, fine, but that's it. All they did was protected, like they were there to stop the forces of chaos.
Yeah, but they weren't the Ordo Malleus. Okay. Sorry, what happened? We're really taking a hostile approach to each other right now. Maybe we both didn't.
This
get
is a
enough
bit
sleep.
awkward for your guest, don't you think?
I don't know.
They can suffer through it.
Okay, let's shake hands, Eric, and then kiss on the cheeks.
I just want to touch your foot.
Okay.
Where is it?
That's my wiener.
There we go.
Okay. Okay, we're back on track.
Yeah.
We're
So
happy,
the Inquisition is
smiling.
formed. The Ecclesiarchy, which is the church branch, it's like the religious branch of the empire.
Yeah.
That one is formed after the Battle of Terra, though. So after the Emperor.
There's a certain guy who survives the Battle of Terra, and he kind of forms like a temple.
It's like Fatidicus or something.
I'm
I'm not even kidding you. It's like Fatidicus or something.
Interesting.
Yeah, but he was a general on like or a lieutenant or something.
He survived the war.
He was involved.
Yeah, and he founded a temple on Terra.
Really a cult.
A cult, yes.
Yeah.
That
Because there were
worships the
so
Emperor.
many cults out there.
And his became the biggest and the most powerful on Terra.
Yeah.
And then over the years, it eventually turns into like the main.
Yeah, like it's so powerful that like the administratum of the Imperium can't shut it down, or they realize that like we can control a good portion of humanity through religion.
Yeah. So those two things, the Inquisition and the Ecclesiarchy, are two major outcomes of the Horus Heresy as well.
For the humanity as a whole.
Yeah.
Yeah, not just like the armies or anything, but this affects like the peoples.
Yeah. So, a couple years after the Horus Heresy, Rabut Guilliman sets up his Codex Astartes. And he basically is like, no one can have this much power. So legions before the Horus Heresy would have like upwards of 100,000 Marines.
Yeah, in each legion.
In each legion. Some would be more, some would be less, but on average, 100,000 probably. And same with the Imperial Navy and Army. They were like one organization. So one guy was ruling all of the like non-Astartes forces. So Rabut Guilliman is like, no one else can hold this amount of power to be able to rip the galaxy in half like Horus did.
Yeah.
So he broke down the legions into what are called chapters, and he split the Imperial Army into the Imperial Navy and the Astral Militarium, the Imperial Guard.
Yeah. Yeah, really it's just a distribution of power. Like
exactly.
If one person corrupts, then your losses are minimalized.
Yeah.
Right? Compared to if one legion corrupts, that's 20 potential, or so many it's 100 potential chapters.
Yeah.
Right? So
yeah,
a chapter, the main thing about the chapter is that not everyone agreed with his decision.
It was kind of split down the middle, I think. So there was like Layman Russ didn't want it, Rogel Dorn didn't want it. I don't think Jeghead Khan wanted it. Maybe he did. No, I think he was for it actually.
Yeah.
But there was kind of split, and it almost came to a second civil war over this.
Just over the fact that Rabut is like, no, this is how it is, and other people are like, you can't tell me what to do.
Yeah.
You're not my dad.
But ultimately, like, so, you know, my dad's dead.
My dad's dead.
My dad's my dad. But so Rabut Guilliman didn't take part in the Siege of Terra, and at this point was the biggest legion. So people kind of yielded to him as he took control. Yeah,
not only did he have the biggest legion, but he also makes the biggest sacrifice with the Codex.
He does, yeah.
Right at that point.
I guess that's true. But so people kind of go along with it eventually.
Yeah.
So the Imperium's kind of reorganized in this way too. And they go on crusades basically to root out the traitor legions.
Yeah, they're just trying to get rid of everyone who like has the seed of corruption on them. You know, trying just do a cleansing. Yeah, really
taking back what they lost.
Yeah.
A couple of things that happened in the Age of Rebirth that are important to note was Lionel Johnson and the destruction of Caliban. So Lionel Johnson's a Primarch of the Dark Angels, and he, after the Siege of Terra, he goes back to his homeworld and finds out that his homeworld actually turned to chaos. And they opened fire on him, and he blew up the planet, basically. But during this battle, he gets lost, and no one knows what happens to him except for people outside of the universe. Like, we know what happens to him, but, like...
Right.
The Dark Angels don't know what happened to him.
He's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, the... I guess the other things is Alfarius Omegon is killed by Rabut.
Yeah.
Or so he believes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is he two people or is he one?
He's two.
He's one.
And here we go. I'm confused. Fisticuffs. Yeah, so he is two Primarchs, but nobody knows that it's two Primarchs except for the people in his legion.
Yeah.
And then, like, even in his legion, they're like the special ops of the special ops. They're all about like infiltration and like covert ops and all that kind of stuff. So within that legion, all the Space Marines, not all of them, but most of them would even like do facial surgery to look more like their Primarch.
Yeah.
So then the Primarchs could even blend even more, and they were the tiniest, so they could actually like really blend with the whole
possible
legion.
that they were even like a very similar size to their own legion and everything. So
yeah, but it is two Primarchs, Alfarius and Ogremon.
But nobody knows that.
Nobody knows that except for legion.
So when Rabut says I've killed Alfarius Omegon, he thinks that he killed the Primarch.
Yeah.
Did he kill one of them then?
Yeah. He thinks he killed one of them.
So-
Whether he killed Alfarius or Ogamon, he doesn't know because he doesn't know there's two of them.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
So potentially there's still another Primarch then.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
if like we have no confirmation that the other one's been killed or anything, so
Yeah.
It's funny because
Interesting.
like everyone's always like, oh, there's 20 Primarchs, and it's like there's 21 technically.
well, technically there's 19.
It's cool.
What? Why that? Oh, well, we don't. Those other two Primarchs could still be alive for all we know.
No, they're.
They could be. We don't know what happens to them,
I guess.
right? And if we were taking off killed Primarchs, then you're removing like Ferrus Manus and
Yeah.
whatever. There was originally 21.
Yeah.
The other thing that happened, or another thing, is Jaghati Khan is lost in the webway, and he's the Primarch of the White Scars, and he was fighting off Dark Eldar raiders, and he chased him into the webway to try to, exact holy vengeance upon them.
Well, the only thing that you should do.
Yeah. So during this age too, Chaos and the Imperium have the galaxy basically split in half, and the Imperium's trying to take back the galaxy. But also Xenos races are like, oh, now's the time to strike. The Imperium's weak, so they're also taking planets. So during this time, not only are they fighting off Chaos,
Yeah,
they're
they're
also
fighting on
fighting
all
off Xenos.
fronts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's huge battles everywhere.
So another Primarch is lost,
Yeah. You really can't find your way out of the webway unless you know what's going on.
or unless Games Workshop writes you back in.
Right, unless the plot
It's
armor
convenient.
is so thick.
Oh, it's thick. And it
I mean,
just-
he's a Primarch, so.
yeah. He just has to wait for the most convenient moment.
No, not the most dire moment. The moment when humanity needs someone the most, then they're like, okay, we'll bring back a Primarch.
Yeah.
He's been lost for like 8,000 years.
10.
Well, depending on when he actually got lost in the webway.
He was lost like pretty quick.
Pretty
after.
early?
Yeah.
Would a Primarch effectively live forever if not killed?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Like even Space Marines basically live forever.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There's a lot of that in 40k.
Do they
Yeah.
age at all? Like,
Yes. Kind
Yeah.
of.
Very
Like,
slowly.
you do see some like who look more weathered and aged. A lot of it just comes from scars, though.
Yeah, I think that's more what it is.
Yeah, and
But, yeah. But there are regular Space Marines who are like, I think Dante now would be like 1,800 years old, who's like the chapter master of the Blood Angels.
well, Abaddon would be older.
The thing with Abaddon
He's
though,
chaos, the warp. So does it really?
like he could only be like 3 centuries old technically.
Yeah.
So
Or he's
or he's 10,000.
30,000 years old.
Yeah.
'Cause
Or yeah, he could
time
even be
passes
older.
even quicker, right?
But yeah, so Primarchs are essentially immortal.
Yeah. Unless you incinerate them molecule by molecule.
The next thing we have that is important is Reboot Gilliman is mortally wounded by Fulcrum. He's slashed in the throat, and then he's put into a stasis field, and
Yeah.
the Ultramarines whisk him away.
To be forever frozen.
Forever.
And never come back.
at this point, is he full demon at this
Oh yeah,
point?
he's full
Okay.
snake tail,
Serpentine,
forearms. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see his model. Like,
Well, I think they did a sweet job with Mortarion.
yeah, and even Magnus, they did a good job too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm curious to see his. And then also the fate of another Primarch.
A lot of Primarchs in this.
Yeah. Lots of loyalist ones.
Yeah, poor guys.
Rolgadorn is presumed dead during the first Black Crusade. He boards, I think he boards like Abaddon's ship. Maybe not. No.
I just that's a bad idea. That's what I was
It might not have been Abaddon's ship, but it was definitely a Black Legion ship, and all they find is his hand. So he could be alive. He could be dead.
Yeah, for the longest time he was presumed
Yeah.
dead.
The
but-
Imperial Fist found their Primarch's hand, though.
Right. Huh, poor guys.
Yeah. Aw. Now they have to change their name. It's like, Primarch doesn't have fists anymore.
Yeah, that's kind of ironic.
Imperial's
Let's
half
cha-
fist.
Let's change it to Iron Hands, because now he has a bionic.
Yeah,
Wait!
Maybe somebody did that on purpose. Like they just left the fist there
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's kind
that's-
of
as
one
a symbol,
screw
kind
you.
of. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be like, yeah, if they had captured him and they were like, we took your fist. Nice.
Yeah.
No more fisting for you.
Fisting for the Emperor. So during this time, lots of Primarchs are lost, but eventually humanity is able to push the forces of chaos back to the Eye of Terror,
Yeah.
which is that warp rift.
Created by Slaanesh.
Yeah. And yeah, that happens for quite a while, a couple centuries, I think this all kind of happens.
A couple millennia
I don't think it's that long.
to M32?
That's just the next most important event,
Ah,
though.
okay.
It's not... Yeah.
Okay, well, the next thing we have written down is the Beast,
Yeah.
which is the largest wog that's ever existed.
Yeah. Can I just throw in one note, too?
You are more than welcome to,
Okay.
Mark.
So, the Imperium of Man during 30K is drastically different than the Imperium of Man in 40K. And what we're hoping to try to do here is show you these key events that flip it from, like, where the Emperor was like, we believe in science and reason and, you know, our divinity to rule and, like... Science! And all that to 40K where it's, like, very corrupt, degrading, and everything that we love about 40K.
They take steps back.
Yeah.
Like, they go back to being cultish and secretive and having, like, their societies and where it's, like, a secretive, like, all the rules, you're not allowed to do this because you're not at the right level.
Yeah.
And
so during the Age of Rebirth, basically we see every loyalist Primarch either get killed or lost. Which really makes it so that no one around during the time of the Emperor is around now. Which, you know, then stuff starts to get twisted.
yeah,
You
because then they can't follow his vision anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't get that, like a Primarch, when he, like, comes around, everyone listens to him. Even if you're not a part of his legion, even if you're just... Everyone listens to a Primarch.
Yeah, of course.
Where when they're gone, then people get their sticky fingers in and they're willing to do what they want to do.
Right.
So, the Beast. This is the next key thing that happens that kind of starts to twist the Imperium of Man.
Yeah. So it's the largest wog ever to exist. We kind of briefly touched on what the Beast was in our Orc episode.
Yeah.
But it's... What's crazy is that, like, this wog, the battle even gets to Terra.
Yeah,
which
it's
is
so
like,
big.
Yeah, it's so large that they can't even contain it away from, like, their holy Terra. Like, Terra isn't just a world to humans, it's like their holy land.
Yeah.
Right? It's what they it's their birthplace and everything. So, but the wog ends on Ulanor, and the reason that Ulanor is kind of important is because there are many different, or I think there's 3 now, major orc things that happen on Ulanor.
Yeah.
There's the Beast, and then there's the 2 battles for Armageddon.
There's also the Ulanor Crusade, where Horus was named War Master.
That's right, yeah.
So there's actually 4.
Jeez.
But, yeah, so it has to be their home planet.
Games Workshop keeps going back
Yeah,
to
it has to be
Ulanor.
something important. What
Yeah.
it is yet, I'm not fully aware.
I think it'll be good.
Yeah, it'd be something.
Yeah. But what's crazy about the Beast, and I'm pretty sure we mentioned this before, is that the Beast was an orc. Technically, it was 6 orcs, and they were called the Prime Orcs. And was it 30 feet tall?
Yeah, I believe so.
The orc was...
Or was it 30 meters?
90 feet, not 90 feet.
No, it's...
10
must be
meters.
10 meters, 30... Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
30 feet.
30 feet
Big.
tall.
He's big.
That's massive for an orc. Like, it's 3 times the size of a Primarch.
Pretty well.
Like, that's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, so the biggest wog ever to exist.
So in their first encounter with this wog, they're on a planet, and like the Imperium's on a planet fighting the orcs, and then like the sky goes dark, and they look up, and there's like a giant ball in the sky, and it's so big, and it looks like a moon. Like this random moon comes into
That's
orbit.
no moon.
Exactly, they do that whole thing, and it's like this giant orc war sphere.
Yeah.
And I think the way that they describe it, I gotta remember exactly, but like it has a mouth on it, and the mouth opens, and either it shoots like a giant laser out, or it like eats the planet. I forget what happened. I think it shoots a laser out. I'm pretty sure that's what happens. But it's a huge giant like Death Star spaceship thing.
That's pretty cool.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Orcs are so cool.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So the big things to take out of this whole campaign are the High Lords of Terra, they're constantly fighting amongst themselves in this like time. So they're the ruling body, and they're fighting amongst themselves.
Of the
and, like,
entire Imperium.
Yeah, so somebody would be like, let's send this crusade here to deal with the orcs, and then it would get halted, and then they're like, well, you did a horrible job. You're out. You're no longer a High Lord. And they kind of do these like these coups or whatever.
Yeah.
So the High Lords of Terra essentially gain more and more power, and like individuals in the High Lords gain more power.
Yeah, really, it's Game of Thrones for 40k.
Yeah.
It's just a constant power struggle
Yeah.
of who's outmaneuvering whom.
Yeah, but this is like really when I'd say they start to like really take hold, because up until, you know, not right now, but like there was Primarchs around.
Yeah,
before,
you had the Emperor, and then you had
Primarchs,
and then all the power of the military has been shattered into
Yeah.
little pieces by Roboute Guilliman.
Yeah.
So now you just have people.
Yeah. The other thing that happens is the Inquisition is split, and we get another major branch of the Inquisition.
Okay, so I guess, Mark, is it okay now if I say that it's the
be-
Ordo Malleus?
Because now it is the Ordo Malleus.
Thank you so much for that permission.
Hey, don't blame me. Blame Games Workshop. I'm just telling you what they did.
Yeah, so whereas before the Inquisition was solely there to protect humanity against the forces of chaos
Yeah.
and its unknown dangers, then Ulanor comes, like the Wog, the beast, and then they're like, oh no, like
crap.
aliens are pretty terrible too. So they form the Ordo Xenos,
Yeah.
which is another, so they kind of split the Inquisition into two, all still under the Inquisition.
Yeah.
And they're like, this branch is going to worry about chaos, that's the Ordo Malleus, and this branch is going to worry about aliens, and this is the Ordo Xenos. Now, when does the Ordo Hereticus come in?
I believe probably during like the Age of Apostasy. I'm not exactly sure when.
Oh, okay.
But that seems like
It seems like a pretty logical time,
that
and they're like,
seems when. Yeah.
this is
I'd
getting
have
out
to-
of hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also other branches of the Inquisition that are minor too, but whatever. But
Those are the three, the coolest ones.
So if I was not an Imperial Knight player,
Okay.
which I haven't even played a game with Imperial Knights, so I'm
Because
not
no
even an
one is
Imperial-
going to play you, but that's fine.
Like I love the Death Watch. Like I have huge Death Watch kill teams, and they're all true scaled and awesome. So this is also
Awesome is debatable.
They are awesome.
Because they're assholes to play against. Mark's like, oh, here's my shotgun ammo now. Like, good luck assaulting me. Oh, you're in cover? Here's my Hellfire rounds.
It's not even. Oh my goodness! Back to the hostilities. You need a nap. Or come back.
I do. Quick 10-minute, guys.
Yeah, but so the Ordo Xenos basically calls together all the chapters. I think they call together 500 different Space Marine chapters, and they're like, we need to deal with the orcs. So they draw like members from each chapter to help deal with the orcs, and they like form them together and make kill teams out of them. And
Yeah.
I love the Death
Well,
Watch.
it's cool because the Death Watch, because it doesn't matter what legion you're from,
Yeah.
or chapter you're from. When you join the Death Watch, like you put all your chapter politics and everything on hold for the duration of your and is it a 1 year or 5 year?
No, they don't have a time. It's
I thought
till
they
you-
had.
It's till your mission's completed.
Oh, okay.
But also like, if they want you longer, they'll take you longer. There's no set time.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I always thought there was like you signed up for a certain amount of time. But anyways,
1 year. So
1 year
you're like,
contracts.
all right. So you go to the Watch Fortress. It takes a year of warp travel to get
just
there.
to get there, I'm
I'm
done.
done.
Yeah.
But
it is
yeah,
kind of cool.
I
'cause-
love the Death Watch.
Yeah.
And this happens too during this battle or this the Beast time or whatever.
Yeah, during the Beast Wog. So the other kind of outcomes of the Beast is that the Custodes, who were the Emperor's protectors,
Yeah.
they join a high seat, or they join a seat in the High Lords of Terra. So now they kind of have a say
Yeah.
of like the
What are
running.
the custodes?
The Emperor's like personal bodyguards. They're basically like crazy. They're not Space Marines. They're better than Space Marines. They're like
Better.
Yeah, they're even like they're stronger. They're faster. They're smarter. But the difference
Are they
is like
still gene seed?
no, they're
No.
not gene seeded. They're
But they are
individually
genetically
crafted.
like a Space Marine is genetically modified,
Yeah.
right? And so technically, like what makes him a Space Marine is the fact that he has the gene seed, and it
Yeah.
can be harvested out of him and
Right.
seeded into someone else.
Yeah.
But you can build like bigger, stronger, smarter people than Space Marines.
It just takes more time.
Yeah.
Where like the custodes are handcrafted to be like the Emperor's personal bodyguard. Which is,
That's cool.
if you're all powerful, why do you need a bodyguard?
Well, because sometimes an orc will come and it'll strike you down,
No, it will.
and then Horus will
It
save
will.
your life. And just imagine if you had had a custode at that time, you wouldn't have
the
needed
custode's
Horus.
now War Master. Perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so a custode joins the High Lords of Terra, kind of like the Emperor's like mouthpiece.
Yeah, exactly.
Kinda.
Like, they know what the Emperor wants, do they? But that's debatable.
And during this time too, one High Lord actually like kills all the other ones, and like has a 100-year tyranny over the Imperium. But it says it was actually like prosperous or whatever, but it still was a tyranny.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't change the fact that it was one person.
But like
But it shows you, like, maybe you shouldn't have a Senate, and maybe you should just have one person leading everything.
But eventually he dies, and Terra is unified under like the High Lord. So I'd say this is like the first major incident where the High Lords actually had to do something on a galaxy scale, as opposed to just like
Yeah, because before they would run, like, day to day,
yeah.
right? While the Emperor is taking care of the Grand Crusade, the High Lords are responsible for day to day. But now the High Lords are responsible for everything in the Imperium.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is the kind of the beginning steps of humanity learning to, get a foothold and kind of secure its place back into the galaxy.
Yeah.
The next part of, the Age of Imperium would be the forging. That's what I have written here.
Yeah, and it's basically just the Imperium is rebuilding worlds and expanding their Imperium. They've driven chaos out, but now they still have to like rebuild. Like you might have the planet,
Right.
but you still need to.
It's the
rebuild.
aftermath.
Yeah.
Yeah, doesn't change the fact that everything was destroyed. You need to get your food lines back up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And they're just trying to stabilize. But the cool thing and the thing I want to talk about is they make astropathic choirs. I don't recall if we've ever really talked too much about astropaths.
I don't believe so.
Yeah, I know we've talked about navigators.
We talked very
but
briefly about navigators.
Astropaths are psychers that are able to send their voice or a message or a picture through the warp to other astropaths. And this is how the Imperium communicates.
Yeah.
But it's not always reliable because it's through the warp. And it does take some time. But it's quicker than a radio wave or whatever.
Yeah, and just purely the fact that, like, you have to be powerful enough to send your voice out further.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you go planet to planet within your star system, maybe not a huge big deal. But all of a sudden you want to shout across half the galaxy?
Yeah.
Through the warp? Like, good luck. So that's why they create the choirs.
Yeah, and the choirs are basically, they would set up astropathic relays on key planets all across the Imperium, and they'd gather a bunch of astropaths there to relay messages. So it's basically they established a viable communication
Network?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a word. Yeah, and the way that works, basically one astropath tells them, and then they send it out. So then they have 10 astropaths send it out further.
Yeah, it's really just like everyone contributes a little bit of their power to shoot forward messages, and then depending on like the urgency, like they'll get more included to send out this message. So.
Yeah.
Like there's got to be a breakdown somewhere. Like someone's listening to these psychic messages.
Oh yeah, like I don't think they're coded.
No. Yeah. Interesting.
Just some random person on a random planet just keeps hearing the voices. And,
the voices in my head.
So everyone thinks he's going insane, but really he's hearing
he's hearing all the Imperial chatter, like, we're losing men on Alpha 7 or whatever. Yeah. And then, so now the humanity kind of, they've got their planets that they're getting footholds and strongholds back in. They have a strong relay system. They have the High Lords of Terra who are responsible for everything. And we'll get now into the Age of Apostasy.
Yeah.
Which is, for me, it's probably one of the cooler ages. Because it's super grimdark.
It is.
I love it.
Yeah.
Like, so the ecclesiarch is the ecclesiarchy is the church that was formed by Fatidicus.
Fatdicus.
Someone gotta find that name for me.
Okay.
But it's formed by this one guy, this cult, and what was crazy is during the forming of this cult, because there were a lot out there, he started this cult and he had the advantage of it being on Terra. So if like a high lord of Terra, say for some reason joins our cult, that instantly gives it sway and power. So it starts picking up off planet little by little.
Yeah.
To where like if you weren't a member of the cult, like the cult members
would be like openly hostile.
Openly, like physically, like even killing people if they weren't part of the cult, which the cult was like, oh, we don't condone, but obviously like it gives you power, you like it, and out of that is the ecclesiarchy is formed. And it slowly gains power and power as the memory of the emperor slowly drifts into memory.
And he becomes more and more of this
myth god legend. Right.
Fatidicus.
It is Fatidicus?
It is.
I knew it.
F-A-T-I-C. Oh, that's a D. Letters.
Is it like? Isn't that a crazy name though?
That is odd.
Yeah. Oh man, Fatidicus.
It says that he renamed himself to
that.
The leader had
That's the name he chose for himself.
Willingly. He had some. He had some small, small man syndrome. So, I mean, he's at the start of the ecclesiarchy, but at this point...
he was around during the Horus Heresy.
Exactly. So, like, the Age of Apostasy is, like, 6,000 years later.
Yeah, this happens in, M36.
Yeah, so this is when the ecclesiarchy is, like, it's a real power within the Imperium. It's, like, acknowledged by the Imperium.
Yeah.
But what there commonly was is there was commonly a power struggle between the bureaucratic and political side of the Imperium and the religious side. So the administratum is everything that handles day-to-day Imperium.
Yeah,
and
you got church and state.
Yeah, no, that's really exactly what it is. Yeah. So there's one kind of era where I don't know how to say his first name. Is it Goge? Gogi? Goje?
Yeah, Gorge.
There's no R.
Isn't there?
No, it's just Goge. Anyways, everyone knows him by his last name, which is Van Dyer.
Yeah.
And he... All right, so the first thing that happens is he sets up a puppet in the ecclesiarchy.
Yeah.
So he puts, through his back dealings, he puts in an ecclesiarch that he believes is going to be very easy to manipulate. And then he enters the administratum, and he goes to the High Lords of Terra. So now the High Lords of Terra... Is he a High Lord?
Who?
Van Dyer?
No.
No, he wasn't. He was just a member of, like, a ruling class or whatever.
Yeah, he was just a cardinal.
Yeah. No, Van Dyer?
Yeah. Pretty sure he was just a cardinal. And so he set up like incompetent leadership, and then he stepped in and like, look, I can do a better job, and he takes over the ecclesiarchy. And because it's one of those things, like if you try to take it over, like if from competent people, you're gonna have a tough time. Where if you take over from incompetent people,
easier.
So he takes over the ecclesiarchy, and he moves the homeworld from Terra to Orpheus 5 or
something like that.
Yeah, maybe 6.
But there's a double reason there. Number one, the reason he moves it is because the previous ecclesiarch did such a poor job that the administratum was able to wrest a lot of power away from them.
Yeah.
And then B, that's where his homeworld is.
Yeah.
Or that's where he did his cardinalcy. Right, so he has very strong ties to that planet. And I guess there's a third reason. It's the wealthiest planet after Terra and Mars.
Yeah, so the third wealthiest planet
in the entire galaxy.
Yeah.
So he has a good foothold there. So now he kind of sets up his own separate domain in this planet.
Yep, and he really enforces the cult of the Emperor, and starts to he I don't think he believes in it. He's just using this as a way to get money, because he starts taxing the population all across the galaxy too much.
Exorbitant. Huge amounts, just so the ecclesiarchy can build these monumental palaces and...
Because that's what the Emperor would have wanted.
No, it is.
Just huge palaces to worship him.
Let me tell you about this one time they leveled a continent.
Oh, wait. But not to worship him.
Well, kind of. There's a statue of the Emperor at the end of this road. Do you remember that one, Mark?
I recall such a place.
With him though, it's not. It's probably not because he's actually cunning and he's plotting all of this. Isn't he just insane? Like he's actually crazy?
I think he gets insane later.
Oh, okay.
But his beginning steps, I think it was more
Yeah, I mean,
plotting
he's
and
been
cutting.
planning for a long time,
But-
and it all starts when he puts the figurehead in, when he helps put the figurehead in
Right.
charge, right?
Yeah.
Like, you could,
and for all we know, like, when he did that, he had the best intentions. Like, I know I could do a better job. Like,
right. So I'm going to put this guy in him and step in.
yeah.
So, but it's the whole thing about this is that there becomes a massive like power struggle between the ecclesiarchy and the administratum.
Yeah. And even eventually the ecclesiarchy kind of turns in on itself, too. And this is where Sebastian's Thor steps up. And he was just like a preacher from I believe the same system, Orpheus 6 or whatever. And yeah, he tries to overthrow George Van Dyer and is successful in it.
What's up?
Everyone's searching things.
Everyone's on their iPad. Like, is what Mark's saying is true?
Yeah,
but the main outcome.
He starts up his own like little mini cults or whatever, and he gets his own followers, and eventually even gets like Space Marine chapters to help join him and stuff. Like, look, you guys know that this guy, that Van Dyer is not doing the right thing. We need to overthrow him.
Yeah.
And Van Dyer becomes so powerful that like he becomes like the most powerful person in the Imperium, even above the High Lords of Terra.
Yeah.
And so they overthrow him and they kill him. But one of the outcomes of this whole thing is that they say, the High Lords of Terra say that the Ecclesiarch can no longer have a military.
Yeah.
And that's really the big outcome.
Yeah, because they had their Templars,
Yeah. And
which they would enforce like their will.
yeah.
Right? So, like, if you didn't pay your taxes to the ecclesiarchy, they
Yeah.
send in the Templars to go
Yeah.
collect their tax.
Yeah, so if you're just some small, like, agri-world, and you don't even have money to begin with, you can't pay your taxes, like, they would go wipe you out.
Yeah.
So,
Really?
yeah.
Wow.
So it's kind of like at the end of the Age of Apostasy, they reach kind of like a balance between the administratum and the ecclesiarch.
Yeah. But this is where the Sisters Battle are formed due to some loophole.
Yay!
Men-at-arms. Because
They're
the wording's
women.
like... Yeah, the wording's like, the church, the ecclesiarchy can no longer have men-at-arms. So they're like, oh, we'll have a bunch of Sisters of Battle. But, like, it goes a little deeper, too. Like, George Van Dyer goes to one shrine world, and he finds, like, a bunch of women called the Daughters of the Emperor, who are, like, warrior women, and he takes them, and then blah, 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 blah. We will have an Age of Apostasy episode.
So you say.
We will eventually. One day.
Coming March 2019.
Oh, really? Should I write that down?
No, please don't.
But yeah, the big thing is that they do find that balance between church and state
Yeah. Well, they're what they believe.
to be balanced.
Yeah. At this point, they're kind of they feel ready, right? The Imperium of Man is kind of, they're back on their feet at this point.
Yeah. And they kind of get like all these they get all these words, thoughts. Wow.
So many crashing through your head.
They go on all these crusades, so they get all amped up because like the ecclesiarchy like amps everybody up, and like it wasn't all bad. Like they're still like promoting worshiping the emperor and stuff, so everyone gets all this religious fervor in them, and they go on a bunch of crusades. And this age now is called the Age of Redemption, and yeah, like basically galaxy-wide crusades again.
Yeah,
it's a common theme. So
right, yeah,
something bad happens, the Imperium's shattered, then they fix it and they go on crusades.
Yeah, crusades to celebrate the fact that now they're a whole again.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly.
Which only
we
inevitably
survived this massive war. Let's go on a massive war.
Yeah, which only inevitably leads to a bunch of loss of people because you're in a war.
Yeah. And so this goes on for quite some time, and like Eric says, like if you keep pushing, your military eventually gets weaker because you just can't keep funding
spread thin.
Yeah, and this is called the waning, and the forces are depleted and thinned out, and many planets are now lost to Chaos and Xenos forces because they just pushed too far. They took too much. They didn't, set up fortresses on planets that they took. They just kind of
right. They were just like, hey, this is ours now. Move on.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
They're not really assimilating.
Yeah.
And this is like really reaching the end of the age of the Imperium right
Yeah.
before 40K.
Yeah, we're getting close to that 40K mark at this point.
Yeah. So at this point, there's only a couple more things we want to mention, and they are going to be extremely brief.
Yeah.
And then we're going to kind of go into something that Mark found, which is kind of interesting. So in this time of ending where the Age of the Imperium is wrapping up, which technically, Age of the Imperium is still happening, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or, no, I think now it's the Dark... No, I don't know if they call it the Dark Imperium, the Dark Age of the Imperium.
I seem to remember you throwing that around a while ago.
Yeah. I forget if it's just what they call the Imperium now, or like how it actually plays, or if it's just a cool book title, but
Gotcha.
whatever.
Yeah. So before 40K, there are three major people that the Imperium interacts with. Three major alien races, Xenos. And that being the Necron.
Yeah.
Because at this point, the Necron, who have been asleep for millennia,
Yeah.
for millions of years,
Yeah.
are starting to reawaken on their tomb worlds.
Yeah. So they fight their first battles with the Necron.
Yeah, and when you read like through like the Necron Codex, they have like some little inserts from like Inquisitors or Space Marines that like met with the Necron, like that were awakening, and they're sweet to read.
Yeah.
Because they're just like the way they describe these Necron rising out of these like tomb worlds.
Yeah.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. The other thing is Tyranids start to invade the galaxy. So they come from a different galaxy, and they start to invade the eastern fringes of the galaxy.
Yes. Yeah.
How far did they come from?
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
Like, there's no home world that anybody's found.
Well,
No.
it wouldn't be in our galaxy, and we haven't left our galaxy.
Oh, you. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
see.
humanity, Eldar, no one. Well, I don't believe the Eldar ever
No,
did.
no one ever has.
Nobody ever has.
Yeah, so
No.
they are the first kind of contact we have with anything outside
Oh,
the
yeah.
Like,
galaxy.
it's hard to put in.
Intergalactic
Yeah.
species.
Yeah.
I thought all the species were kind of intergalactic.
No, like
No.
when you really think about the scale, like you have a planet,
Yeah.
and then you have star systems, and then you have your galaxies.
Yeah.
Right? Well, you even have your segmentums within your star systems.
Yeah.
Right? Like a star system, it's like, well, the sun, that's like one star within the Milky Way. But there are billions and trillions of stars in the Milky Way galaxy.
It's
Yeah.
really quite the mind fuck
Yeah.
if you
Right? Like every star we
The
see.
galaxy is so unbelievably huge.
Yeah, every star we see is in our galaxy. We
Yeah.
can't even see stars. Like if we see another galaxy, it looks like a star.
I think
because
the only
it's so far away.
the only galaxy you can see with the naked
Andromeda.
eye is Andromeda. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So
But yeah,
It's
like
interesting though. I that they've never gone past.
you
It's-
can't.
it's-
It's
yeah,
so
it's almost
large.
impossible.
imagine like the size of our galaxy, and then just to get to Andromeda, it's like times 100.
Yeah.
Just
100
like
of our galaxies.
yeah, 100 of our
It's
galaxies
crazy.
to get to Andromeda.
Yeah, and there's nothing in between that space. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
dead space, so you can't
And,
even.
but that's the next closest thing. Right?
What about through the warp though?
Yeah,
I mean, it's a good thought.
but even the warp, like, so let's
Does
say
it
even
exist
if
outside
it
our
cuts off,
galaxy?
let's say it cuts off 1 billion years of time. You still got 1 billion years of warp travel with demons constantly invading you, and you still have to be able to resupply yourself, but you can't. Like,
Well, unless you're on a craft world.
dun, 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 dun. Yeah, but
We haven't had that conversation.
no, we haven't. But yeah. So
Those
the
are-
Tyranids are invading the galaxy. The other thing that happens, I always feel bad for the Tau. The Tau Empire springs up. It's just like
Why do you feel bad for them?
it's just like they're not a major race to me. Like they're
But
not.
they are a major threat. Or they could be.
Everything could be like. A Harad Empire could be a major threat.
Yeah, but
Like,
that
the
would...
Demiurge could be a major
But
threat.
a Harad Empire would never happen. Whereas a
Not.
Tau
There
Empire...
have been Harad Empires.
Like a Tau Empire is much more conceivable.
Yeah, it just, to me, they're just like, oh, good, they got 15 planets, good for them. Like,
I think it's more just the speed at which they're growing.
yeah,
Because if they continue on at that rate,
yeah.
they'll blast ahead of everyone when it comes to technological
But, like,
advances.
as of right now, they're not a major player to me. They're just,
They are definitely like they're a
it's funny
spacefaring
because
race.
out of podcast, I know we've had this conversation. I know you agree with me completely. You're just arguing with me just for the podcast sake, which is great. But it's just like, I know you agree with me.
Yeah,
We've had this
they're
conversation
small.
many times.
They're small
Yeah.
and they don't play a large role. But when humanity actually reaches and like interacts with Tau, like
Yeah.
Tau dominates.
Yeah, they're
Like
they're good for sure.
Yeah, they're such a small.
But their
Yeah.
growth rate though is so exponential.
Yeah,
right?
but their major problem is that they don't have any form of like faster than light travel.
Yeah, they
so for
skim.
them to get anywhere, it takes them too long, and it's just like
Yeah.
they can never. You'll never find Tau outside of their small little section of space.
Yeah, when they do their actual like growth from planet to planet, it has to be extremely slow
Yeah,
until they figure out a way to actually do warp travel.
yeah,
Right. But their technology, it just increases so fast.
It
Yeah.
does.
So
yeah. Like so, Imperium contacted them, and that like I forget the date, but then 2,000 years later, they contact them again, and they go from like just simple like planes people to like having
Spacefaring.
rail guns and spacefaring, and yeah.
Yeah.
So
So in 2,000 years,
yeah,
which when you think about it, that's kind of like us.
kind of. But like really, you could say that like we've only really made progress the last 200 years. Like
Yeah,
you know,
it's true. But 2,000 years ago, we were plains people.
yeah, yeah. So the Tau happened, and there's other Xenos races too out there. Like these are just the major ones.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, like the Tyranid and Necron are like always.
those are
gonna-
threats.
Yeah,
those are
the
threats.
big guys.
Tau.
Yeah, but it's worth mentioning that
It is.
it's the first contact.
Yeah.
right at the end of this time.
Yeah.
So
Then also Chaos launches its 13th Black Crusade
for the fourth time.
for the fourth time, because Games Workshop keeps rewriting
Yeah.
that. But yeah, Abaddon, the spoiler, does a bunch of crusades, and
Love
this
that
is-
guy, great guy.
Great guy.
Really-
and
really
this is
good
the
guy.
one where kind of everything kind of happens that he wants to happen, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah, we'll do like a Black Crusade. We'll do a Chaos Space Marine
Yeah,
episode.
all the crusades will fall into that.
Yeah.
Everyone loves the crusades.
Everybody loves the Crusades.
Yeah, so that's really the Imperium of Man. Like, you see them kind of go from where the Emperor has like this perfect vision to 40K, where it's like they're just holding on to for survival.
Yeah.
and like it's run by a bunch of crooked people who are selfish and they don't really care about the galaxy as a whole. And
Well, they lack the big picture that the
They do.
Emperor had.
yeah, and
A lot of that is purely because of the fact that they're human.
Yeah, and where the Emperor did not like religion, in 40K, the Emperor is religion now.
Yeah, he's the god.
Yeah, and you just see them slowly tweak into the universe, or into the Imperium that we love.
Yeah, know and love.
We know and love.
Mark and I were discussing something last night. Was it last night?
Probably.
2 nights ago. Who knows?
Sure.
Yeah, about like the actual order of like authority or power.
Yeah, because
the
like
Imperium?
we mention all these like, oh, you got the High Lords of Terror.
Yeah, you got the Inquisition.
you got them.
Yeah.
So we're gonna take a brief little moment here and just kind of talk about the actual structure of the Imperium. So at its head, you got the Emperor.
Yeah.
And he's really just a figurehead. Like, he's not doing anything nowadays.
If you believe that.
I believe that.
Does nobody receives any communication from?
Anytime
Yes,
there's
Mark.
like,
Mark, would you like to answer that
anytime
question?
there's like possible communication, Games Workshop always is like, and this person enters the Emperor's throne room, and they close the door. And then they come out, and it's like, oh, I have this great idea. But like, they don't actually actively say that the Emperor.
Other than the Emperor's tarot. How do you pronounce tarot? Like a tarot card.
Yeah.
Tarot.
So the Emperor actually has a tarot card, which they use to help guide humanity.
Yeah, but is that the Emperor's direct
Well,
hand?
who else would it be? Because it does like it leads them properly,
Sure.
right? As properly as a tarot card
Yeah.
can. But it is predictable enough that they use it again and again and again.
Yeah.
So like they have these people who claim to like be able to like receive messages from the Emperor through the use of their tarot cards.
Who are those people?
I don't even know their names.
Prognosticators.
No. What? No.
I know, it just sounded like something that...
No, they
I
don't
can pass
use the
off as-
tarot.
Yeah.
Is it like a psyker? Of
Yeah,
some
it would be a
sort?
Oh yeah,
psyker
it has to be a
type.
psyker of some sort.
Like librarians and stuff in Space Marine chapters will read it, and
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, anyone really. Like I don't know if there's a specific
I
name.
think you have to be a psyker.
Yes.
Is it
Any
just
psyker.
like at Terra? Is there
Nope.
Oh.
No, like they'll do it across the galaxy.
Oh, I
They'll
see,
like
I see.
read the tarot. They'll have like their deck of cards, which they think like the emperor is like psychically attuned
Oh, I
to,
see.
and they'll try and divine the future through these tarot.
Oh, so there's a lot of decks of cards.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But another thing why I would disagree with Mark on this one is the Black Templar. Every time like they're gonna have like a major battle, like one of their warriors before the battle claims to receive a vision from the Emperor, proclaiming them as the Emperor's champion. Which is and he claims
Yeah,
that he's receiving
and
a
there's
vision.
other people too.
Right,
that
yeah.
have these
It's not the
claims.
only one, so I believe like there is communication with him.
Well, remember what I said like many episodes ago, and I'm like, oh yeah, the Emperor intentionally wanted to be killed,
Yes.
turned into a god. Now he's just a simple cabbage farmer, and then he's banging the farmer's wife, and then and he's living all these different lives. Like when the Black Templar gets that vision, that's like the Emperor like consuming his soul, and then like taking his body and going on like he wants to go on a rampage, so he does that.
Yeah.
But yeah, really. Sure, he has some like sway on what's happening, but not.
Oh no, he doesn't like.
He's not actively doing it.
No, not in like the day to day. It's literally like a godhead figure where
Yeah.
like this person shows up to like an individual or a person. Like he's not making decisions for the Imperium
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
He's more just like inspiring that one person. Right? So
yeah.
whether or not you actually think the Emperor cares about the individual,
Yeah.
which he doesn't.
He does not. So underneath the Emperor, you have two branches. You have the Inquisition, and you got the High Lords of Terra. The Inquisition is basically all powerful. They can do whatever they want. And
Yeah, no one. The Inquisition doesn't answer to anybody
Yeah.
except themselves.
yeah, and like they even have a seat on the High Lords of Terra. So like, even the High Lords of Terra don't really have that much sway against them. So the Inquisition, we kind of know what that is. They
Yeah,
just-
we won't. They're the protectors of the Empire.
And then you got the High Lords of Terra, and they are a governing body. I think there's 13 of them or something like that. There's some number.
It's an ominous number.
13. There's some. There might be 10. I don't know. There's not hundreds of them. There's only
No.
a handful of them.
Yeah.
And underneath them, you got the Adeptus Terra, the Adeptus Mechanicus, and the Adeptus Ministorum. So the Adeptus Terra is basically they are the political leaders on planets. Like they will.
Yeah, that's like your nobles, right?
Well, no, it's like a governing body, just like any type of governing body. So like,
Okay.
if you have a planetary.
A world
governor-
government.
Yeah. They're also in charge of like collecting taxes. They're a government.
Yeah.
And
Taxes are theft.
next to them, you got the Adeptus Mechanicus.
Jordan just smiles.
It is. Yeah. Next to them, you got the Adeptus Mechanicus, and we kind of know a little bit about them. They're like the machine people
Yeah.
who make all the machines for the
The machine people.
The machine people. It goes greater than that, but yeah. And then besides them, you got the Adeptus Ministorum, and they are the church. So these three branches are kind of equal, like, which shows how much power the church has if they're like on equal footing with like the Adeptus Mechanicus.
Oh yeah, like, well, at least to the High Lords of Terra. Like the Mechanicus is kind of its own.
They're kind of their own
Body.
thing, but
Like-
yeah.
Yeah, it's more like it's the mutual relationship. Like the Mechanicus could go to war. The Mechanicum could go to war with the Imperium. Would they want to though?
Yeah, it's
Right.
not beneficial for
No.
anybody.
Can I ask one question about this?
Yep.
So, what's kind of the political philosophy of the Imperium? Like, how are the High Lords elected, or how do they come into power? Are they elected, or
So usually they're from like governing bodies. So like I said, the Inquisition has like a High Lord.
yeah?
So the Inquisition would choose like who do we want to represent us.
Right.
And then the Ecclesiarchy would have a High Lord.
Yeah, so the
And then-
Ecclesiarch chooses who do we want to represent us on the High Lords of Terra.
And then a Custode is a High Lord. So they just have a bunch of these different like main branches of the Imperium.
So it's kind of democratic.
Kinda, but it's
But
not,
not
like,
really. The layperson doesn't have any say.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I guess when the Emperor was more calling the shots, it was more fascistic almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even still now, even though there's like a council, it's like
Well, no, that council now is responsible for a lot.
yeah, No,
Like,
I know.
everything. But and like they call way more because now they get to decide where the army goes.
Yeah, but who effectively chooses the leaders? So
Really,
Yeah, like,
it would be like
whatever branch, like, because each seat has its own like branch that it's in charge of. So, like I said, the Inquisition is the easiest. So there's a bunch of Inquisitors, and they choose who's going to go represent them.
Yeah. So is there a seat for like an Astartes?
I think Space Marines are one of the few that do not have a seat.
Okay. So would like the Astra Telepathica, did they have a seat?
Yeah, they
right.
do.
So
The
there's
Navigators have a seat.
right. Yeah.
So would they all just get together and vote?
the Astra like yes.
I'm sure each one kind of has their own way of doing it, but I'm sure most of them would be like, you're the most suited for this job.
Yeah.
Where
But-
others, like, they have like the Assassins,
Yeah.
and they have a high seat on the High Lords of Terra.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that
That's not a vote.
that's not a vote.
Probably whoever's most powerful.
Right. Who's
Yeah.
the leader of the Assassinorium? Right.
Yeah,
That's
so
They're
but-
really cool, by the way. I
they
should
are.
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The a cool a thing is that like it's the distribution of power. Like you have one person at the figure who is voted by those people, like the 10 above them, and then each of those guys is put into power by 10 people below him.
Yeah.
And then each of those guys is put into 10 people below him. So that's how you get like the vote of everyone. Like you might not actually vote for that person,
Oh, okay.
but the person that you put in power
Yeah.
put another person in power who put another person in power. And it goes
Yeah.
all the way, it pyramids up until you get that one last person and you say, this person represents us
Yeah.
in the high seat.
Yeah.
But the common people basically have no say.
Oh, no,
whatsoever.
no.
There's
But,
no way.
But they have no say on the High Lords of Terra. But the other thing, too, like, each planet in the Imperium is very different in terms of government.
Oh,
Some
absolutely.
you have a monarchy, others you will have a democratic process.
Yeah, some you'll just have a dictator.
Some you will,
Yeah. And some you'll have like no
government at all.
yeah, and then they
Yet
just
you're still getting taxed.
well,
so-
of course, there's got to be some space god that you give your gold to. Right?
Yeah, so like really anything that you can think of somewhere in the Imperium, that's happening.
Okay.
Because the
just-
Imperium's a million worlds.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, under the High Lords of Terra, you got the Adeptus Terra, Adeptus Mechanicus, Adeptus Ministorum. The Adeptus Mechanicus are in charge of Forge Worlds. Forge Worlds are their vast manufacturing planets. And
Yeah,
they
which is
produce all the-
huge machinery under the planet.
Yeah, so on a Forge World, they have the ultimate say.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, exactly. Like a High Lord of Terra isn't going to come to a Forge World and say this is how you have to run it.
No.
Like they
No.
probably could.
They probably could, but
And if the Mechanicum doesn't bend, like there could be a battle, but that's not beneficial.
Yeah.
Like all that the High Lord of Terra cares is that they're meeting their quotas
Yeah.
and they're sending this many bolters and this many
Yeah.
land raiders out, right?
yeah. Then we have the Adeptus Ministorum, and they're in charge of Shrine Worlds. So these are these vast cathedral planets and places of worship. So those are those two branches. Then we go back to the Adeptus Terra, and they're in charge of the Adeptus Astronomicus, the Adeptus Astra Telepathica, the Adeptus Administorum, the Adeptus Arbites, and the Adeptus Custodes. So
It's a lot.
yeah, I don't want to say Adeptus anymore. I'm just gonna say what they're in charge of.
Oh, okay.
It's that one there.
Good job.
So yeah, we'll go through them all. So the Astronomicon, that's the light,
yeah,
the beacon,
the
the
beacon.
light of the Emperor. So they, in order to get this to work, they sacrifice like 1,000 souls to the Emperor, and it lights it. And
yeah.
we have the Astra Telepathica, which is the whole astropath. So
That's their
all
communication
those
system.
Astropathic relays, yeah. Then we have the Ministorum, which is in charge of like taxes, running things like where
Day to day.
yeah, where the military goes, like stuff like that. Then you got the Arbites, which are the policing organization in the entire Imperium. So every planet will have a castle on it or a fortress on it with these Arbites on it, and these people just kind of make sure that like you're paying your taxes, that there's no heresy. They don't.
Hey, is there any heresy going on in
heresy?
here?
Yeah, they're the police.
No, sir.
They're the police force. But like we were saying, like with government, each planet has its own set of laws. So on one planet, I don't know why my mind went here, but you could marry your sister, and that's fine. I don't have a sister, so it's fine. There's no thoughts of me wanting to marry my sister, but apparently there is. Where other planets, that is not allowed. So the Arbites are not in charge. They don't care about that stuff. They
Yeah.
just care that you're paying your taxes and that you're not doing anything that's like...
No heresy.
Yeah, you're not harboring Xenos, like stuff
you're
like
not
that.
worshiping demons and
Yeah. Then you have the Adeptus Custodes, which is weird that they're under the Adeptus Terra to me. Because, like...
Well, I
I
mean,
would-
when you think about it, it's weird that, like, the Astartes are under the Administratum, who are under the Terra, Adeptus Terra, right? Like,
Well,
it is
yeah.
interesting to see, like, where does your actual authority lie?
Yeah.
But in a galaxy as large as ours, like, the Adeptus Astartes, they're allowed to make decisions without the permission of the Administratum,
Yeah.
right? Like, there's a
like,
level
the
of autonomy.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily mean like anything that anyone who's on the seat of the Adeptus Terra says the Custodes have to listen to.
No, I know. It's just it's odd. To me, they would have been like...
There has to be a flow because you can't just go Highlands of Terra and then 30 different things.
No, I know.
So-
But so
It's more, to me, I view it more as like that's who they, if they have a report, that's who they send it
yeah,
to.
exactly. So we'll go to the the Adeptus Administrarum.
Yeah, so because the Astronomicon, Telepathica, Arbites, and Custodes, it kind of ends right there.
Yeah.
That's like their own sections, and they don't worry about anything else.
Yeah.
But the Administratum, they worry about way more.
Yeah. So they deal with the Imperial Guard. So anytime there's a crusade, they send who needs to be there, and they designate which like Imperial Guard regiment needs to go there and how many. They're also in charge of the Imperial fleet, so same thing.
Yeah, that was when the Guard was split up between the fleet and the Guard, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And then the third branch that they're kind of loosely in charge of, which they more petition than are in charge of, is the Adeptus Astartes, so the Space Marines. So they more petition Space Marines to like come help us on this planet,
right, like
as opposed to telling like they
Yeah.
do the Imperial Guard. So they got a bunch of like underneath them as well. So that's kind of their military. Their three branches of the military. They got their fleet, which is like its own thing. They got their guardsmen, their Imperial Guard, which are like basic foot soldiers. But the guardsmen can be anything from a basic foot soldier to a genetically enhanced human. Like there can be a wide range of
yeah, it's really anything that's part of the military that isn't a Space Marine.
yeah. And then you got your Space Marines. The Adeptus Astradium is also in charge
Your
of...
voice slowly got quieter.
They're also in charge of any Imperial commander, so they're in charge of like planetary governors.
Yeah, any kind of governing body.
Yeah, the planetary governors still have to report to the Imperium. And then beside them, you got the Assassinorum, which are assassins. And yeah, so if there's a planetary governor that's out of control,
Yeah.
you send an assassin and kill him.
Yes.
They're worth their own episode. And you got rogue traders, and rogue traders are pretty cool. They're kind of like free agents that are sent across the galaxy to kind of just promote trade, and like they're allowed to do basically whatever they want.
Yeah, the interesting thing about rogue traders is they have like, if a rogue trader interacts with a Xenos,
Yeah.
it's not necessarily a bad thing.
No, like they'll trade technology with Xenos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is weird because almost any other part of the Imperium, like Xenos is a no-go.
Yeah.
How is that allowed? Why did they justify that?
So the Emperor basically like realized that like Xenos do have something to contribute, but like technology mostly.
But he doesn't want any of their thoughts or ideas.
Yeah, and like he doesn't want the common citizen to be able to interact with them. So he has this separate organization that is allowed to kind of go to these far out places and kind of do these dealings, and like they could do anything from like trading to like spying on like an empire, you know.
Yeah, the rogue traders are cool because
They
like even though they're so far down the list,
They have ultimate freedom.
yeah, like they have a lot of autonomy
Yeah.
within this.
Yeah.
Whereas like an Imperial, and I guess everything has their autonomy. Like
Yeah.
the Administratum doesn't dictate how the Officio Assassinorum is run.
No.
Right? They just
It's
get
more
to
just-
provide targets.
Yeah.
And even I'm sure the Assassinorum picks its own targets from time to time.
Yeah.
Right? And just like how they don't get to determine how the planets are run.
Yeah.
But when the planet has like an issue, like they're gonna go to the Administratum.
Yeah.
Or if the planet isn't sending its taxes, the Administratum is the one that's going to deal with them. Anyways,
Yeah.
so that pretty much is like the
That's kind of how the Imperium kind of functions, because we toss around a lot of these terms, and you're
Yeah.
like, what is that even? So now you kind of roughly
now you know everything.
Now you know everything that we've mentioned.
Yeah, it is a lot. I don't know. You like the table we're looking at. You can always find, like, it's a pretty easy search
Yeah,
on Google.
yeah.
Okay, I really
think we're good.
Yeah, I think that pretty much sums up all of the Age of the Imperium
Yeah.
for us today. Any questions?
Yeah, a bunch of Primarchs do resurface at the end of this, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, they do come back, because a lot of, like, so the trade of Primarchs, they all go into the Eye of Terror, and they are constantly, like, doing sieges and raids and crusades on the Imperium. So they've always been around.
Have you talked about which ones are the traitor? Exactly.
Yes.
You did.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
Horus Heresy, probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And then also now, like, because a lot of the loyalists, they were either lost or they
Died.
mysteriously disappeared
Or died.
what- Yeah, a few died. I think there's only a couple that are actually guaranteed dead.
Which ones are those?
Ferrus Manus and Sanguinius
And Horus.
and Horus.
And Alfarius.
He's not guaranteed though.
One of him is.
Yeah, I think that's really all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Rogel Dorn was literally like he was dead to everyone.
Yeah.
He was dead, right?
Yeah.
All they had was his hand. So it's more than possible that he's alive. He probably is.
Yeah.
But he was dead for the longest time.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, so a bunch do come back eventually, but
Yeah, I mean they're making
Touch
that
too
the
heavily.
big resurgence right now in
Yeah.
the current time.
Right,
for it.
right.
So for today, we're not actually going to do like a Tales from the Warp type deal.
no, we're gonna take a little time, tell you about our personal lives. What's going on with you, Eric? Tell me.
Oh my gosh, so many things. Thank you for asking.
This is a horrible segment.
It's my favorite. That's what I really needed.
Oh god.
No, I don't want to share all my personal issues with you guys, unless you really want to know.
No, but we are going to share some of our personal hobbying and kind of just what we're up to in the hobby besides just podcasting and reading lore.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I want to mention two things before we get into like the main thing that we were going to talk about.
okay, go for it.
Thing one, I got my Acastus Knight Proferion last night, and it's pretty sweet.
What is that?
It's huge.
It's just the biggest knight variant that they made. So I did some electrical work for my brother, and then he bought me that. It's
Oh,
like, yes.
that's
Because, like,
awesome.
it's one of those things where it's like, oh, man, I don't want to have to ask my wife for that money. But if Grant buys it for me...
What
Yeah.
could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, so I'm good at money evasion with my wife, and I'm also getting pretty good at tax evasion, too.
Nice.
So,
Nice. So
Wow.
how big is it, though?
so I'd say it's about a foot.
Wow.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's probably like 4 inches taller than.
It's tall. So you know my big guy that I have, my warlord. It comes up to like his waist, basically.
that's
Whereas
But
the other
it's
ones only
also-
come up to like the knee.
Yeah, but it's also thick too. So I was building it last night. It's pretty cool.
How are you going to paint all of these things?
Everything's painted except that one that I got yesterday.
How do you do that? How do
And
you find time
The
for all
Titan
of this?
isn't done.
the warlord titan's like 50% done.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I don't
That's-
know, like-
it's impressive.
I don't know. I don't have much going on some days. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. You just pluck away at it and
Cool.
yeah. So that's the one thing I want to talk about, and
Yeah.
then thing two, which leads into thing three.
Okay.
So
You gave me that look like, Eric, you know what's going on.
you know about my things.
Mark, I know about some of your things, not all of them.
So we have a group, and we do a lot of like pen and paper role playing games, and I think we've mentioned it before. On
Yeah,
the
especially
podcast. when Peter
Oh,
was
when
on,
Peter
which
was
is in
on.
the future.
Yeah, which just hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. But yeah, we do a bunch of like we've played Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder, and we've played Death Watch, and we've made our own games, and we've done all these different things. And we always talked about like, oh, it'd be sweet if we had like a touchscreen table, and like you could move your guy, and you had an awesome map and stuff. So last weekend, like I got this awesome touchscreen TV, and I built a table, and now we have this sweet touchscreen table to do all these RPGs on.
Yeah, if you go look at our Facebook page, actually, I put a photo on where Mark and I were just doing some research.
Yeah.
For an episode, and it's kind of in that photo. Like you can see it. Like
yeah, maybe I'll send some pictures. I don't know.
Yeah.
It is very impressive, though. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be sweet for RPGs, which is the third thing we're gonna talk about.
Yeah, and the main thing we're gonna talk about.
Yeah, is role playing in 40K.
Ugh.
So I obviously want to be a Dark Eldar and have things probed in me.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
How would you role play with
Roll
me?
for actually. Have you heard of Fatal, Mark?
Fatal. Roll for anal circumference.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so we're gonna talk about.
We're not talking about Fatal.
Oh,
We are not talking about
we're
Fatal.
gonna talk about 40K role playing games.
Yeah.
We've done quite a few. We've made our own, and now we're thinking we're wanting to start up another one.
Yes.
Using the table.
Using the table, using our imagination, and maybe using miniatures. I don't know. I don't know. That's a conversation. Like, so
Yeah.
what type of role playing game in 40K would you enjoy? Like, would you like to be a space marine? Would you like to do this? Like, would you like to
Yeah, if you could role play as a character.
Yeah, like what kind of setting would you enjoy?
What would you play
What
as?
kind of go around the table?
I'd be a Tyranid.
You'd be a Tyranid, eh?
Really? You're just like, but at that point, you're just a slave to. You're kidding.
A slave to his gut.
He's like, I'm starting to begin my argument for why that's a terrible idea,
Right?
And he's just over there laughing at
Yeah.
me, like, Eric, you're a fool.
You fool.
You wouldn't be a Tyranid.
No.
Okay, so
Right.
what would you be?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to think about that because you just posed the question to me.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, we'll go around.
Yeah.
Eric,
I'm pretty-
So, in a casual setting, you could be anything you want to
Yeah.
be. What would you be?
I think humans actually have the most draw because they're the easiest for me to relate to, and
Yeah.
like the
Because
obviously,
you're a human.
debatable. But for me, what makes RPGs the most fun when you roleplay is the flaws within the character.
Yeah.
Like if you have a character who you say is like super afraid of spiders, like
You're super afraid of it.
right, like so when say the GM says like you're fighting like a 3-foot tall spider, like what the most fun I have is I will not participate in that combat, and I will
Even though it screws everyone over.
especially that it screws
Yeah,
everyone over because
exactly.
he's bringing it in for that reason.
Yeah, you're sticking true to your character.
Exactly, and
So-
that's the most fun part to me because the
Yeah.
human is the easiest to understand what their flaws are
Yeah.
and how it interacts.
Yeah. So just last weekend, we're doing like a Lord of the Rings RPG.
And actually, all of us are in it,
Yeah.
even though Jordan hasn't participated in how many months now?
Like one.
But anyways, yeah, so
not to rag on Jordan.
we used a table for the first time, and it was sweet. So Peter's like, "You're fighting this," and he'd like put an image up on the big screen, and we were like fighting spiders, and that's what made me think about it. But he put like a giant spider up on the screen.
Were we really? Oh, we were fighting spiders.
Yeah, and it was just like, like everyone knows what a spider looks like, but it's sweet when you actually see like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
There
it
was it was a cool representation of like
yeah,
this is the
or like
one.
you were being like, you were hunting like a shade, and then he tossed up like a picture of a shade.
It wasn't a shade, it was a beautiful elf ghost.
that you wanted to bang.
No, I was just that's not what it's about, Mark.
But yeah, so you would do something human.
I would. I like okay. Now we've done Death Watch before.
Yeah.
And we've done another one where we were Space Marines.
Yeah.
I would not willingly ever do a Space Marine chapter ever again.
No.
And like for
So why not?
okay. So as great as being a Space Marine is and how you're like the ultimate warrior and you have like the coolest backstory ever, they are so rigid. And like a Space Marine's flaws aren't nearly as pronounced as a human.
Yeah.
Like it's not okay for a Space Marine to throw a fit and have a tantrum.
Yeah.
Like that just wouldn't happen in real life.
Yeah.
Right? Unless you're playing Chaos. And playing evil is a completely different story.
Which we did talk about for a bit too.
We did.
Potentially doing, which would be neat. Being a bunch of Chaos Space Marines, that could be fun.
Yeah, but it's just going to turn into a who's the eviler competition.
Which could be fun for a very brief campaign.
For a very brief campaign.
Yeah, like
Yeah, but I wouldn't
evil
do,
is fun and it's in a season or whatever that saying is.
but yeah, like the Space Marines are just too rigid. There's
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
enough flaws in them to have fun with your character.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. What would you play?
I really like Kroot. I just
Just going around eating everyone.
I don't know, just talking like a stupid bird creature. I don't know. They just I just like them. Like, yeah, I think they're neat.
Well, it's not the first time you've even mentioned that you would do Kroot.
No,
Like years ago.
oh yeah, like the reason I've never done one yet is because we've always either done like a 40K or a Space Marine RPG or
I think that's the only ones we've ever done.
really that's about it. Or we've done like
I played an Inquisitor once.
yeah, we've done a couple like tabletop RPG hybrids, but like they're not true role playing. It's more like
Yeah, it's
here's your army with a little twist to it.
yeah.
But
Even
anyway.
even playing an Inquisitor for me, like even though I was human, it wasn't that fun.
No, because then the Inquisitor kind of has like
Like he has to
All-
stay true to some things.
yeah.
I don't know. The flaws still aren't that great. Like he can't really, like, he can struggle with heresy, but he
Yeah.
can't really ever fall to
Yeah.
heresy.
Yeah.
I mean, you could, but it just wouldn't be that fun to play. I don't know.
Yeah. it's-
Like when you fall in 40K, you fall hard.
yeah.
So
Real, go, and then I got another one.
I think Rogue Trader would be pretty fun because you're not, even though you're still under the Imperium, you're not necessarily following the codex,
Yeah.
the Astartes. So
As a setting, that would definitely give you the most leeway, because then you can have like an Eldar member working for the Rogue Trader.
Yeah.
You know, you can go anywhere you want. You can do anything.
yeah, and you can kind of interact with a lot of the other races in a way that a Space Marine could.
Could
Right.
never, or
Yeah.
even just like a regular common citizen.
Yeah,
could.
exactly.
yeah, exactly. Like
But-
a common citizen could never like invite an Eldar in for tea.
Yeah,
Like he would die.
yeah,
Like, the Death Watch is gonna come and kill you.
yeah.
So as a setting, you would want to. Would you want to be a Rogue Trader, or are you just like that setting? Like if you were playing in a Rogue Trader setting, what
Yeah.
race would you be?
Oh, like, wait, can you be a different race within like a Rogue Trader?
Well, sure. Like
Yeah, yeah,
if,
like
if
Fleet
Mark
or
was the
something?
Rogue
Like
Trader.
so, yeah, a Rogue Trader is like a noble family.
Yeah,
And then he has a bunch of agents for him, and his
Oh, yeah,
agents
yeah.
can be like he has Eldar agent, he has his own military branch,
right.
and whatever.
So, yeah, that's why. Yeah, so it would be cool in that way because you could play another race and it
Yeah.
wouldn't be.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be a big deal at
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
So what would you
like
play?
that. I don't know. I'm always drawn to the Eldar. I think they're just so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Eldar's kind of cool because the flaws within it, like you can constantly struggle with your path.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like if your path is like one way, the GM can throw another one at you and all of a sudden you're like, is this my path? Like do I follow it or do
And
I
also,
ignore it?
like, Eldar experience motion so much more deeply, too.
Yeah.
So even, like, the minor upset can be a huge fucking
Yeah.
thing to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
so do you know enough about it? Would you be a Craft World or an Exodite or a Dark Eldar?
From what I know about it, I think I'd like to be a Dark Eldar just because it'd be really interesting.
It would be. It's.
I
What's
feel
that
like
look, Eric?
No, the coolest thing about the Dark Elder, and I agree with you on the thing, is that you would constantly have to suck the souls out of other people.
Yeah, it would be an awesome character to play, but it
No
wouldn't
one
be
would
the
like
most
you.
practical.
Yeah,
No one would like
unfortunately.
you.
that's true. I'd have to read more into it. I think
Okay.
to actually make a decision. on
Yeah.
that. The other thing I think would be fun would be this could even be within a Rogue Trader. I don't know, but like being a mutant or an abhuman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be like
Ogrin or a
yeah.
squat.
And because you could kind of even like think about what kind of mutation do you have?
Yeah, you could make up your own.
Yeah.
Like,
The warp affects everyone differently.
Yeah.
So.
Or on a world, and full of like mutants of some kind. Like I don't know, it'd
Yeah.
be interesting.
that would be one, because, like, everyone would hate you, but it's like, it's not like they would hate a Dark Eldar. Like, you're not actively doing anything evil,
Right.
but people kind of have that natural tendency to dislike you.
Right,
You'd
you're-
create some interesting party
It would.
dynamic.
Yeah.
Jordan, have you thought of one yet?
Well, yes, I have. Thank you very much.
Oh, great.
I think it'd be kind of cool to play an orc in an RPG.
Yeah.
Just because they would obviously bring a very different dynamic
Yeah.
than most other civilized races, right?
Yeah,
So-
yeah. That once again, it could work depending on the player. Like,
Yeah.
it would be sweet, like, if you had an orc that was more level-headed and not just trying to smash things,
Yeah.
but he's still very much an orc and just wanting to smash things.
Yeah, yeah.
But it could get carried away awfully quick.
Yeah.
But I agree, yeah, that would be... Like, just imagine the interactions between an orc and an Eldar.
Yeah,
working
yeah,
for
yeah.
a human.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, like that would be awesome. Like that'd be
yeah.
so sweet.
That'd be really cool.
Well, the other one I was thinking too might be kind of interesting. Would be like a Harlequin or something.
That would. Oh, I never even considered that actually.
Yeah, as like a
Well,
character.
what else would Peter play?
Sexy clown. Yeah. Oh yeah. That would be
But-
kind of cool too.
Yeah,
Because that could bring
they
in-
could add to like the story of the game. I think.
Yeah.
Really, anyone that has their own goal
Yeah.
within it, like with a separate backstory, if when they play their character correctly, like it adds so much, like it enriches like the environment for everyone else.
Yeah.
Because if the Harlequin is there and he's like, all I care about is spreading my story, and he's like, every place we go to, like I'm gonna share the story of the Eldar,
Yeah.
right? And then like the orc would be like, no, I just want to break people's mouths open and steal their teeth. Because when we were talking about it, we
Yeah.
were like, what if like an orc, like all he cared about was becoming rich?
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I had the image in my head of this orc just going around punching everybody in the mouth, and then like not caring that he hurt them, he would just be like, I collected some teeth.
Yeah.
And he just
he's
goes and
going
puts
around
them in the
collecting
bag.
like the biggest teeth he can find.
Yeah, like that's all he does.
Yeah.
Is he just trying to get rich?
Yeah. To him, rich to him.
Yeah, exactly.
Because like he like tries to go buy something from the Imperium, and it's like, I got these teeth.
Yeah, exactly.
Got them teeth.
Give me the gun. Give me the big gun.
But the human would just be horrified at this bloody mess of teeth.
Yeah, in his hand.
Oh my.
There's like a tyrannid like fang on top or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, like because he would kill the monsters
Yeah.
only for their teeth.
Yeah. Yeah, an orc would definitely be pretty amusing to play.
Yeah, I just
If
think
done
like
right.
in an RPG setting, because it's so story driven, you'd kind of want those kind of characters that are more interesting, you know.
Exactly.
But, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
and when we do RPGs, we normally focus more on like characters and stuff as opposed to like, oh, let's go get this epic sword. Like,
Right.
or we're not just raiding dungeons. We do more heavily on the role playing for
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, there was a time when we played Pathfinder where we like min-maxed.
Yeah, well, we had one guy who did, and then he was doing so much damage, so then everyone
Else
'Cause it's
had
like-
to min-max, or else you feel completely useless
Exactly.
in the combat setting of the game.
Yeah.
So that's another thing is when you play the RPG, what is the focus of the RPG on? Is it on the story itself?
Yeah.
Or is it on the collection of wealth or items?
Yeah.
Is it on the combat that you do?
Yeah. Yeah, there are different ways to do it. But yeah, I think we usually tend to go towards the narrative.
Oh, we definitely, yeah. Especially after the Pathfinder, right? Because you can get so, with the way they play their game, you can get so bogged down in a combat. So technically, this combat's only supposed to last 40 seconds.
But you just spent 3 hours
Yeah, and
playing.
you spend
Yeah.
3 hours on this like 40-second combat.
Yeah.
It removes you from the story aspect and the whole point of role playing your
Definitely.
character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even like combat too. So like a regular human like running into a combat, like it's so easy to like not care about your character's well-being and just like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna run into that big cave troll.
Yeah,
or
because
what-
you dissociate yourself from it.
yeah, and it does kind of take away from the story elements because you're
Yeah, like when I play my character, like I want to be as fearful of the monsters as my character is.
yeah.
So, I don't remember what we fought last in Lord of the Rings.
Spider.
Oh, it was the
Spider,
spider.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that's right. So the elf maiden, she like took me to her corpse, and I touched it, and there were spiders everywhere.
Yeah.
And then for 2 solid turns of combat, I was like, well, I'm too busy rolling and killing all the spiders.
Yeah,
that
I did
are on me.
appreciate that actually.
Yeah, like someone else might just be like, I brush the spiders off, I get up, and I start shooting my bow.
they might not even brush the spiders off.
Right, because the spiders technically didn't do anything to me.
Yeah.
Like Peter, our DM, was just
Yeah.
like, there's spiders all over you now.
Yeah.
So like, in my character, like, what would I do if I was in that scenario? I'm not gonna ignore these spiders. Like,
Yeah.
you gotta
You're not
deal
gonna
with
like
them.
aim your bow with like spiders crawling into your nostrils.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And so that was like the whole thing is how true to your character are you gonna be? And
Yeah.
even in combat, like I hurt the group because of that. Mark did a way worse one though.
Oh, I've done many bad
He
things.
did- okay.
I've done many horrible
So
things to groups.
there was like one of our first games I think we played in this where we were underground, it's a bunch of marshwalkers, and we could have left.
Could have left.
We could have left. We could have cut our losses and walked out of this dungeon. We had the dwarves we were sent there to save, and he literally opens this door, sees this group of hundreds of marshwalkers and is like, no, I got to deal with this right now. A single dwarf.
In his defense, I was playing to my character though.
You were.
Because my character is very honorable, but he's had a past of failures, and like the failures keep stacking up on him, and like they're not his fault that they have. Well, some aren't. But like
It's just, he seems like he was born under a bad star.
yeah, and just kind of shit goes bad around him, and he tries to do the best all he can, and he meets people and they don't recognize like what he's done, and like it just pushes him further and further into madness of like I'm trying to do the right thing, like I need to deal with these marshwalkers for like.
Even though everyone else is like, leave, just go away,
so
and he's like, we're staying here.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, that was.
But those are the best moments.
Yeah, when you can have a character who has an established backstory with flaws.
Yeah,
and you
with
can stick to
flaws.
them.
That's why I think when we're thinking of role playing within 40K universe, I think it's important to pick kind of a scenario which gives you autonomy.
Yeah,
So that
yeah,
you
like you
do
said,
stuff
with
like that?
if you're a space marine, you don't really.
Yeah, you can.
Like, you go where your chapter tells you, and that's really it.
Yeah.
And because a space marine, like, they view people who aren't space marines as beneath them.
Yeah.
So, like, a space marine's interaction with a human, the space marine sees you as, like, a dog.
It's not a conversation. It's like, it's one-sided. Like
Yeah, the space marine tells, you listen.
Like
or,
Tyranids too.
Right,
It's like
yeah.
a hive mind. They don't really. They can't make any decisions in the game.
Right.
Yeah.
It's basically just a board game at that point.
Yeah, it's just a strategy game. So,
Yeah.
But what I was thinking was interesting. If you were to do a scenario where you had a bunch of different species playing all at once, what happens if you have a rogue trader and he's got an Eldar and an Orc and an Ogryn and a couple humans
And a Kroot.
and a Kroot, and then you throw in a Space Marine in there?
Then it could be fun.
Right, because then the Space Marine gets to be true to himself, but his interactions then, he's not like the majority.
Yeah, you don't got 5 characters that are all identical.
Right, because the Space Marine is identical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're so
Their
limited.
ideology.
Yeah, they're so limited in what they can pick
Is it
between.
ideology or ideology? Or there's
Ideology.
Or idiotology.
No, like because I hear a bunch of people say ideology all the
It can
time.
be either.
All I hear is ideology.
It might be like just.
I've heard both, but it's
yeah.
the same word.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other character I was thinking maybe doing would to be a Tau scientist, but he's like a renegade scientist, and he's just like constantly doing weird experiments. And like
on what?
no, just like constantly making like weird new guns or like
Okay.
like I'm gonna take this plant and like he needs that plant for like some like it doesn't even have to be like nefarious. It could just be like I need this plant so I can make the best tea the Tau Empire has ever had. You know, just like ridiculous things, and he's like a very quirky like
His
Tau
brain is
scientist.
just running a mile a minute.
Yeah. And I think that'd be kind of funny
Yeah, that'd
too.
be a cool scenario.
Yeah, because
And it's just he's so
you could just be picking up anything for anything.
exactly, and
Yeah.
like I need that.
The orc wakes up and the Tau scientist is staring at you with a gas mask on his face with a notepad in his hand, and the orc freaks out and the Tau goes, "It's for science." Right? Like
falls unconscious. Yeah,
right,
yeah.
exactly. Like there
wakes
could be
up
some
with
really
like a missing limb and like this like weird like potato cannon on his arm. Or
right,
something.
like there could be some fun interactions
Right?
with that one.
Yeah.
The next best one I think would be to play is it's still a human, but whereas like my first choice is never going to be tainted by chaos.
Yeah.
My next choice would be tainted by chaos, but involuntarily.
Yeah.
So when I played World of Warcraft, I had like a backstory for most of my characters.
Okay.
Now my warlock, he was what I considered like my coolest backstory, not my best one, but my coolest one.
Okay.
Because his story was that when he was a very, very young child, his parents were planning on sacrificing him to the Burning Legion in order to start a demon incursion into Stormwind.
Yeah.
So, like, in Stormwind, there's a little room. There's actually a room you can go into, and I said, this is where it happened. And so he was a little kid.
And you took people there?
Yeah, I did. I was showing them around. But anyways, so he's he's like 14 or something when everything starts to like really happen.
Yeah.
But what happens is the demon starts to enter his body, like to take over, but the like whatever, someone stops them. I can't remember their exact name right now, but he gets stopped, whatever, and he gets free. Like his parents die, everyone dies, he's his own man now. But what happens is that because of the taint on his body, like he has that connection to the demonic world. Like, but it's not of his own choice, and he hates it.
Yeah.
But what does he do? Like he uses it to his benefit
And tries to do something good with it.
Exactly. So that's kind of thinking how I'd play my chaos character, is that like maybe his mom, while he was in the womb, his mom was participating in like a demonic like ritual or something.
As all mothers do.
Right, yeah, exactly. And it kind of like seeps into him as he's like in the womb, and so he's born, and he's always had this thing like nagging on the back of his mind, like
and every now and again it kind of
something
gets through
exactly. So I think that would be a really cool character to play, because it's not his fault, and it's nothing
because that's
major.
another thing you can't do. You can't actively do a chaos guy unless everyone's doing chaos,
right? Because as soon as you're chaos, a bullet's in your head.
Yeah, that'd be interesting, because it'd create tension too, especially if you're trying to fight it.
Exactly. Like the whole thing is he kind of understands what it is, but he's terrified of it. He doesn't want anyone to know, right? But at some point, you spend enough time with someone, they'll realize what's going on. So I think it could create some interesting dynamics internally with himself, but also with the group. Because chaos is no joke, right? Like that's a stamp out real quick.
Yeah.
Any other cool character ideas?
For a human, I think a cool one would be, and this is kind of coming from you, like with Jacaranda.
Okay,
I think it would be really cool to be on a medieval world, or like a really backwater planet that doesn't even have like electricity.
Yeah.
Right? And then all of a sudden the star gods come, and you are transported into a brand, like you're thrown forward thousands of years in technology into like a brand new universe, and everything to you is new, and you don't understand anything, and science is indistinguishable from magic, and so everything, like I think it would be kind of cool to play a character that doesn't understand anything.
Yeah, definitely.
I would like it as long as he's an older guy. I would hate it, like your Lord of the Rings character right now that you play, I don't like him at all. I hate him. Because like he's just this young guy and everything's new and fresh, and he's just like, oh wow. Well, like if it was an older guy, he'd be more grizzled, and it wouldn't be like, oh wow, it would be a little different.
Yeah, it would be more like perturbed.
Oh, wow.
No, it would be like, I don't understand. It would be a frustration level at that point.
Whereas as opposed to just like this happy wonderment.
Right now, like my character, he's like naive and everything is full of wonderment.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas the grizzled guy, like a veteran, like 50 years old, all of a sudden he gets taken to the stars. He doesn't understand anything, but he gets angry and he would get frustrated because he can't interact.
Like I would like to play with that character more. Like side by side, I wouldn't like to play as him.
Yeah.
But like, it wouldn't irk me so much. Is all I'm saying.
I think Eric would play that character really well.
But it's a good character. Like even your Lord of the Rings character. Like I hate him, but that's just like because it's such a good character and he stays so true to like.
Yeah, he's annoying because of how
inexperienced and young he is and stuff like that. Like
he's part of your group and you don't like him. Like he's obsessed with the elf in our group. Like he's absolutely obsessed because he's never spent so much time with the elf. No, honestly, that's why he woke up the cave troll by accident is on the boat, right?
Yeah.
There was a time where I was controlling the boat and the elf was there and the elf was a boater. So I was really trying to impress the elf by showing off my moves. So there's a time where I was trying to execute this maneuver around a rock, and I accidentally hit the rock because I'm not that good, and it was a cave troll, and I woke up a cave troll because I was trying to show off.
A sleeping cave troll in a river.
Yeah. Oh man.
That was terrifying.
But any other characters? Anyone has a cool idea? So let's talk about different settings, because we got the Rogue Trader. That would be the simplest, easiest, most inclusive setting where you can do anything, you can be anyone, and life goes on.
Well, I really think that it depends on the scale you want to play on.
Well, that's a good question. Are you playing like Well, and this is the point of this question. Yeah, are you doing a planetary? Are you doing even a continent? Are you doing
Or a city.
Even a city?
Yeah,
or
yeah.
are you doing a galaxy wide?
Right. As soon as you have the ability to get off planet and you have your own spaceship, like the world opens up for sure.
Yeah.
But it makes the game very, in my opinion, like, because it's so difficult to think of all, like, a million different planets and they all have their own intricacies.
Yeah.
If it's not pre-prepared, it
Yeah.
turns into a very bland world
Yeah.
very quickly.
Yeah, I can see that happening. Unless you just got some amazing GM.
Yeah, unless your GM is just a god.
Which we should put an ad out for GG for 40k GM.
We probably should.
Okay, after we'll do this.
Okay. Or if you're listening and you want a GM.
And you live in Calgary.
Right.
What would be the other key?
Yes.
Oh,
Skyping
and
wouldn't be the
another-
worst problem.
No, it wouldn't, I suppose. But
Yeah.
another thing is you can't be my mother.
Right. Kathy, you're not allowed.
So, so I know for me, if I could do one setting in 40k that I really just want to explore more and roleplay in, it would be with, let's guess, everyone.
Mark, is it the Imperial Guard?
God no. Imperial Knights. Like I just love their lore so much, and just like the whole. There's a peasant just tilling a field with a hoe, a farming tool, not
Right,
not
yeah.
not a wench, because that's what they call hoes in that.
Right.
Yeah, and then just in the background, there's this huge striding 50-foot tall robot that like that peasant has no idea
Right.
what it is.
But
how
it's
it works.
part of the scenery.
Yeah. and
Right,
it's
like
just,
he's used to it, but he doesn't know what it is.
yeah, and how it works, and I love that idea, and
It's the mix of fantasy and the future.
yeah, exactly, and like I have a whole Imperial Knight backstory. I have like 10,000 word like backstory on them, and I'd love to play in that setting and like actually have what happens in our RPG contribute to my backstory. So it's not just me writing stuff; it's a group effort of changing the lore.
Yeah, and the dice rolls would matter and affect things.
Yeah,
so
exactly, and like
it's kind of cool because it kind of removes it from your power.
yeah,
So when we were first talking about this, where our biggest issue always is the GM.
it is. Yeah, it's the hardest person to find,
Yeah.
and
So Mark was like, well, you know, would he do it? Would I do it? And I was like, well, Mark, if you give me freedom over Jacaranda,
which is my Imperial Knight house.
yeah, that's like his house, the Jacaranda. So I was like, would you let me do that? And for some reason, he thought I was saying Jokero.
Well, because I don't know how to say words, so like
So yeah, you thought I was talking about like,
Chocopodos is what I call them. I don't know.
Chupacabra.
I don't know what they're called, but
but you thought I was talking about the space chimps.
yeah, I'm like, yeah, sure, you can do whatever you want with them.
So
Why
I
would
heard that,
care?
and I was like, oh my gosh, like he just gave me freedom to royally mess with the Jacaranda.
Which honestly, I would let you do stuff to it. Like I would let you do
What
horrible
kind of
things,
stuff?
horrible dark things that should only be done in your mother's basement.
Oh man, yeah. No, that would be a good one to play, I think.
Yeah,
I like that would be a good one because
yeah.
there's feral orcs on that planet too, right?
feral orcs, and then there's also dark
Like dark,
mechanicum
yeah.
implement. There's like when you write a story too, you got to think like what are the flaws? Like you can't just write this awesome noble bright thing that a lot of people when they write Space Marine chapters fall into, where it's like they're the best at this and they have no flaws. But you need flaws, you need intrigue for a good story. So when
Yeah.
I wrote like my backstory, I put a lot of these things into the backstory where they're not the biggest, they're not the strongest, or you know, just different things, which really opens up a lot of cool role playing elements.
Yeah, it does really.
And like now in 40k, I'm gonna say one more thing about House Jacaranda, and then that's all. With that warp rift that ripped the galaxy in half, the planet is on a rotation of where it's 3 years out of the warp, and then its rotation takes it into that warp storm. And for 1 year, the entire planet just goes fucking mad. Like, chaos demons are swarming, and everyone's just losing their mind. Then they rotate out, and they got 3 years to prepare.
To prepare for the next
Yeah,
time.
and it's just like this awesome plot thing where it's just it adds to it. It gives it character. It's like it's not just like, yeah, we go to every planet and we conquer it. You know, it's
right.
They're fighting for their life, and like their planet might get destroyed one of these rotations.
Yeah, it's like how long can they really last now that this has happened?
Yeah.
So it is pretty cool. It'd be a cool role to play, and I like the juxtaposition of the current reality plus a farmer. Like I like
Right?
that.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's really cool. It adds like a martial aspect to it, which
Yeah.
which we've always liked.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, I really think like the best is playing like. If I was gonna GM, I would keep it on a planet. I don't think
Yeah.
I could easily do, or if they ever go off planet, at the very least you're staying within your star system. Like you're going to the moon, maybe.
And you, as the GM, are dictating where they're going. So
Exactly.
you can have already plans made up, so they're not just like, I want to go to the nearest agri world, and you're like, okay.
Okay. If you want, I guess. No,
Yeah.
yeah, like that.
Yeah.
Just for simplicity's sake.
Yeah, for
really. I like Planet the best. Really, I would want to do. What are the planets called? Where it's just covered? Is it a hive planet?
Where they're covered in like cities.
It's just one massive city,
Yeah.
and it's just a disgusting city.
worlds, yeah.
Hive worlds, like.
That would be cool.
Because in there's like you'd have your gangs and your cults
Yeah.
and all your different like you'd have there wouldn't be a lot of aliens there.
No.
You could always throw in gene stealer cults.
Ooh.
But well, you never like right?
could, yeah.
Yeah. But there would be lots of probably different like abhumans like
Yeah.
living in like the sewers and everything. So it would be a very gritty,
Yeah.
disgusting world to play in.
Yeah.
But to me I could have a lot of fun there.
Yeah. Lots of fun.
Oh,
In
I
the
think
sewers
so.
with a bunch of mutants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it'd be good interaction.
You should look into Necromunda,
Necromunda.
like the game
Yeah.
that they're coming out with.
Well, just had a
Malfunction.
malfunction in our noise paneling side.
So Rio, if you could play in one setting, would it be Rogue Trader for sure, or if there could be something like, would you even do like an all Eldar campaign?
I would definitely have to learn more about them to
Yeah.
do that, but I definitely like their lore enough to do one for
Yeah.
sure. But yeah, I think Rogue Trader would maybe be my first choice, just because there's so many possibilities within that.
Yeah, so many possibilities, but with having the Rogue Trader can still give it structure and direction.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I also like your thought of being on a single planet. I think that would be a good way to do it.
What
Yeah.
about what do they call them? Crap, the name's escaping me. I think the those like planet ships at the Eldar.
Craft
Craft
worlds.
worlds?
Craft worlds, yeah. Would
Yeah,
that be kind of cool to do something on a craft world? I don't know what you could do.
it could be like, just because it would be so different if everyone is an Eldar.
Oh,
like
yeah,
that
yeah.
could have its own interesting
Yeah.
dynamic.
Yeah.
I think you could have really big personalities too with Eldar.
Exactly.
Because they're so emotional.
But you
as we
would
said before.
and you would also have those who are like very reserved and
Right.
withdrawn. So you
Yeah.
could get a decent amount of variety
Yeah.
within the Eldar.
What about this one? Orc freebooter campaign. So you got your orc captain, and they're basically pirates, and they just roam the galaxy like
Oh,
doing
yeah.
pirate things. But every player's an orc, and just imagine the chaos. Because it's like, okay, yeah, so you're all beating the shit out of each other, but it's not gonna have any permanent effect on your character.
No.
You know, like you can get into fist fights, and everyone just laughs it off. Like,
Yeah. It'd be fun for a little bit. But
It
I think
would be for a
You'd
little
have to
bit.
be like an intelligent enough of an orc to do anything, you know.
Or like your WOG, like
well, freebooters are usually a little more like
independent.
independent and a little more adventurous and a little more intelligent. But like, yeah, it would be fun for a while, and then it could either like just end horribly,
Yeah.
or the novelty would just wear off.
Yeah.
The number one thing I see that happens consistently is the lack of consequences within the game.
Yeah,
So, say like you go meet a planetary governor, and he's like, "Well, like you owe me taxes, like you owe this amount of gold," and say a character is just like, "Nope," and like walks away.
yeah,
Is the
There you go,
GM
taxation is theft.
like does the GM kill the character? Because
Yeah,
that's
like,
the
you-
reality.
yeah. That is, but there is that fine line where
Is
you
that's
just
not
need
fun.
to rip off somebody's jaw to teach them a lesson.
Right. And so that's like the whole like cuz we have played with people who literally just refuse to participate within the reality of the game.
Yeah.
And all they choose to do is like, I min-max my character, I make him as powerful as possible, I have my own goals, and that's all I care about. Screw everyone else. The GM isn't actually going to kill me.
Yeah. And I'm just going to kill the other players. Like,
Right, exactly. And I'm pretty sure like I've killed a character because I got so fed up with how he was acting when I was a GM.
Oh, okay.
Like when I was a GM, I'm pretty sure there was someone we played with who I was just so sick and tired of dealing with them. I killed their character because they deserved it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who or what that would have been, but yeah. Well, and that's the one crazy thing about 40K too is like every 40K game we do, like when we did like Death Watch or we did a Space Marine game, everyone had multiple characters because it's like
Well, you died all the time.
you died.
Yeah.
40K is grim and dark. Where like when we're doing Lord of the Rings, I can feel fully confident that my dwarf is never gonna die.
Right, as
unless
long
I
as-
dictate it to be so.
Well, I don't know. If you go and wake up a Balrog,
No, like, yeah.
within
Excluding
reason.
anything, like, if
Yeah.
I go walk into Mordor, yes, I'm gonna get killed.
Yeah,
but-
they're within reason. Like
Yeah,
you can
like-
feel pretty confident.
But your
Like
character wouldn't do that either.
No,
He's
but
not an idiot.
but like if a cave troll got a lucky hit on me, I don't think Peter would kill me.
no, he'd hand have got it.
Exactly. Where in 40K, when that happens, it's like, sorry, man, you're dead.
Yeah. Like there's no coming back from what just happened.
I
to
like
you,
that,
so.
though.
Yeah, no,
I
it
appreciate
adds
that.
an element because it adds to that. There's consequence to your actions.
Exactly,
Like,
yeah.
You're not just running into that mob of orcs trying to kill them all. You're
Yeah.
like,
There has to be some kind of reality to it, because if you're just like, oh, it's a game and I just want to beat the game, like that's not the way to play the RPG.
yeah,
Like it is a way, but
Yeah.
and we've been doing this for years.
Yeah.
So out of all the games I've ever seen, if all you're playing is just to beat the game, you're not gonna have as much fun as you could.
yeah.
You can have some amount of fun, but then you're like, okay, well I beat this one, and then the GM's just gonna say, now you're really powerful. What do you want to do?
Yeah, now you have to fight this more powerful
yeah,
thing.
exactly.
Yeah. So it gets boring really quickly until you start developing the flaws within your
Yeah.
character.
Yeah. So are we good on settings? I got another little conversation
Okay,
topic.
go for it.
If we're done on settings.
I'm good.
The only one I thought of maybe would be the Explorator, the
so like
Mechanico.
So yeah, working for like a Mechanicum fleet and
Yeah.
like treasure hunting almost. Even.
yeah, kind of like at the edges of the galaxy.
That could.
but-
Oh yeah, because then you can go to like all these different crazy like Xenos worlds,
Yeah.
even like hunt for technology or like just hunt for knowledge. Even
Yeah.
that could be fun too. And the nice thing about that too is your character could be, like survivable enough where you could go to all these places, like because you're made out of like all these bionic parts and stuff. And the other crazy thing too is like a lot of these Mechanicum characters have these crazy quirks to them. Like
Yeah.
it's like flaws in their software.
Yeah, and like
So even-
programming.
Yeah, so you could be super durable like a Space Marine, but you could have all these like weird
Yeah.
quirks and
Yeah.
stuff to your character.
Which could give the autonomy,
Yeah, exactly.
Play
Yeah.
an interesting character.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool as a character.
Yeah.
And then you just, for some reason, get wrapped up in like a rogue trader thing that's happening at the moment.
And you're so far away from the Imperium that they can't really dictate to you that
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
If you decided to do something, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that would be fun. So the final little part we'll talk about is just rules.
Okay.
So like 40K has a couple like official RPGs. Like they have Black Crusade where you play as Chaos Space Marines. You got Death Watch where you play as Astartes. You got Only War where you're playing as Imperial Guards. You got Dark Heresy where you're playing as Inquisitors, and you got Rogue Trader where you're playing in like Rogue Trader. And those are like they're a pretty in-depth rule set where there's a lot of dice crunching and you gotta do a lot of addition, and we've played a bunch of different styles of games and a bunch of different things, and yeah, those games can be fun for a while, but
Yeah.
eventually it gets tedious.
What it seems that the most success we've ever had is less dice
Yeah.
and more story.
Yeah, like the funnest one to me that we've done is the Star Wars RPG. And yeah, the storyline was pretty cool, but the rule set, it just was so simple.
It was very thematic.
Yeah.
You know, like in I remember in Pathfinder, there's like a hardness for like a stone door versus a metal door
Oh,
versus
yeah.
a wooden
Yeah, and then
door.
it's like, how
and
do
it's
I
like,
kick this open?
okay, my
Mm.
weapon has a specific hardness that I attack it with the weapon, and I compare the hardnesses. but the thickness of the door matters, and then my
Yeah.
strength matters in it. So
Which that can be cool if you got like a group of dedicated people with that is their hobby.
yeah,
Where
and
it's
they
like-
knew every single rule, and you didn't have to reference the book
Yeah.
all the
It's
time.
a lot of work, though. I think I spent like maybe literally over 40 hours building my spreadsheet for Pathfinder.
Oof,
Yeah.
wild.
And that was doing research and then putting in, the different, numbers and stuff
Yeah,
into the
formulas
spreadsheet
and-
and then formulas, exactly. So
Yeah.
a lot of work.
Yeah, which it can be fun.
It has its place.
It has its place, but I think we all tend to lean towards that less rule set.
Yeah.
So I think the RPG, when we do one, we're not set on a setting yet. We're not set on characters. We're not set on a GM. We're not set on players.
We've got nothing.
we got nothing
other than a pipe dream.
except for a pipe dream
And
Well,
a table.
and a table and an awesome
A
table.
great table.
But we were thinking of doing, like, we've done our own RPG rules before, and we were thinking
Multiple times.
multiple times.
Yeah.
We were gonna implement the Imperial Knight Renegade game where you're fighting knights and you have like actions that you can do, and like everyone kind of plays at the same time, which is nice. So we're gonna take
Yeah.
that system and we're gonna tweak it a bit and add different elements, but the core of the combat would be that. Because another downside to playing RPGs is it's my turn, I spend 5 minutes, I cast a spell, and I move here. Then I wait half hour for everybody else to do it.
Yeah.
Then I wait 5 minutes. Where this Imperial Knight Renegade, the way it works is everyone interacts at the exact same time, and you're not spending all that time waiting. So
Wait, how does that work? Can you explain that a little?
so you have X amount of actions. You got 10 actions, and each action has a priority in like the way they work. So like action 1 is aimed attack. So that's always the first action that happens. Action 2 is move. Action 3 is blah blah blah. So on and so
okay.
forth.
So they have
each
it-
action point, or each action has a set amount of action points to it, and each character can do a certain amount of
Oh, okay.
actions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so every turn you get a currency worth of action points, which you spend
Yeah.
to play these actions down. Now, you might play an action that happens in a specific initiative value that is higher than mine. So, say you and I are facing off against each other, and you put down your first action is aimed attack, right? So you get that before I get to do my action.
Yeah. But like the
So-
way it works is like everyone at the same time chooses their actions secretly, and then you flip your cards over.
Oh, so it's cards.
Yeah.
Oh.
You play your cards, which would, like, the amount of, because each card has the action point value.
Yeah.
Right, so you need to be able, you have a certain amount to spend, and you can't exceed that.
Yeah.
Right, so you're
Oh, yeah.
limited in the number of actions
That'd
you
be
can
interesting.
take.
Yeah, and the neat thing too about that, it's not just like I move, I cast my spell, and then the other person, like, it doesn't matter what I did, he's probably going to do the exact same thing. With this, like, you don't know what the other person's doing, and you kind of have to think like, oh shit, is this guy going to move? Is he going to dodge? Like, what is he going to do? But we're going to put it like, we haven't set like an actual time, but there will be kind of like a time to it to choose your action. So there will be kind of that think quick.
I like that, though.
Yeah,
I like that.
like it's not gonna be like you got 5 seconds. You're like, oh shit,
Right,
You know,
right.
but like there'll be some amount of time, and if you don't choose your actions at the end of that, you don't get actions.
Yeah.
I like that, though, because it makes
Right?
sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. You hesitate during combat, and you don't get to do what you're
Yeah.
gonna do, and it keeps the game going fast.
Oh yeah, because
Yeah.
probably the worst thing we ever have seen in these games, which you briefly mentioned before, is that combat takes forever.
Yeah,
And
You
but
have
it's only worth like a fraction of a second
Right.
of real time.
Yeah.
where this will keep the game going quick, and
Yeah, like
keep everyone involved too at
at the same time, because commonly what would happen is, it's Mark's turn,
Yeah.
and I had just gone, like, Mark's right, I have a half hour. What am I going to do? I'm going to ignore what's going on. I'm going to go on my phone. I'm going to
Yeah,
read more rules or some books or something.
Yeah.
So it removes me from the game.
Yeah.
Whereas this way, I'm constantly involved in the flow.
Yeah,
I
because
like
you gotta,
that,
you gotta to be on top of like what action comes when. Because if you miss it, you're not going back. You just lost your action.
Yeah. There's no going back,
Yeah.
because the game will have changed in that period of time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I actually really like that when they
Yeah.
came out with that Renegade game.
It was fun.
Yeah,
It was a lot of
we've
fun.
played a good number of games with that recently,
Yeah.
and like since it came out, and
Yeah.
I've enjoyed every single one.
Yeah, it usually makes for some interesting games.
Yeah,
But yeah, so we're gonna try to do something like that, and obviously there's rules that we're gonna tweak to make it like the actions are gonna make more sense for if we do whatever we decide to do.
Yeah,
and
who
like,
knows?
and you're not gonna have like hit locations either. You'll probably just have.
Oh
Like,
no.
like we're gonna simplify it, but the core mechanic is you have those.
It's the cards.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
That's cool.
yeah. So we do basically have all the rules, kind of. Well, most of
if
them.
not written down, then they have shape in our brains.
Yeah. So if you want to get a link to them, email us, or I could put a link on the Facebook page or something. But if you want to check out our rule system,
yeah.
Oh, you've written it down?
yeah,
Oh,
most of
yeah.
it's there. So we don't have like what does a bolt gun do, but we have like ideas of what a bolt gun will do.
Yeah.
We just haven't written down like the actual.
Oh, okay.
But the core mechanics of the game are there. So yeah, if you're interested in using it, feel free. Or if you want to add to it, we're open to suggestions to help make it better.
Yeah. We know we're not game creators.
No.
So
And yeah, when making the game, we're thinking what's going to be the most fun for players. It's not necessarily what's going to be the most balanced
realistic
or
or-
realistic. It's
Yeah.
going to be what's going to be the most fun. So,
Yeah.
I think we talked quite a while about RPGs.
holy smokes. Yeah. I don't know. It's like, and honestly, I could talk more.
I know, I could have too, but
It's so fun though. Like, I don't know.
So
I'm
we-
definitely more into it than I am into tabletop.
yeah. Tabletop's a different beast for sure.
Yeah. I don't know. I like tabletop. Just on the topic of tabletop.
Yeah.
I'm currently in the process of building an army list for Grey Knights. Mm-hmm. And that's fun.
Yeah. So, what did we add up the cost of your army to be?
Exactly 1,500.
No. The
The price.
price.
Like $480 or something.
So that was the best moment because Eric was all gung ho. He's like, "Yeah, Mark, check out this list." I'm like, "I don't know about 8th, but yeah, this looks like it'd be fun. Let's add it up." And then Eric was instantly like, "Doo doo doo."
Oh, it's so expensive.
Yeah. But,
For brand new models.
Yeah.
Especially because like I have Necron models not in a complete army,
Yeah.
and I have Genestealer models not in a complete army,
Yeah.
and then to all of a sudden go. And I don't know, I think I've given up on the Black Templar now. But like, and then to go and purchase like Grey Knights, it's
Yeah.
like, Eric, focus on one, you fool.
So what was your Grey Knight army?
So it was a 1,500 point army, 3 Nemesis Dread Knights.
Which is sweet looking. And well,
Yeah. They're okay. I don't know. Like when they first came out, I was like, well,
they've grown on me. Like
have they?
They have a little bit. Just I like their concept. It's like when you're fighting a 20-foot tall demon, it's sweet that idea.
You
of like,
need that.
You have this exosuit that makes it so you can compete with
It
them.
it was weird to me that they have knights and they have these Nemesis Dread Knights.
Well, because they have different functions completely, like different military branches completely.
But that's all that's what I mean. Like, why would you need both? You just need one.
Because like you don't always have knights around, and you definitely don't always have Grey Knights around.
Oh yeah, of course. But what I was more thinking of, like, because knights are built for humans.
Yeah.
So why didn't they just build the exact same model, slightly bigger, for Space Marines?
Because you don't need a Space Marine in there, because physical ability has nothing to do with the way a knight works. You could put a paraplegic in a knight, and the knight's still going to work wonderfully. Right?
That's true. Yeah, but so why make it difficult for the Nemesis Dread Knight? Like, the Nemesis Dread Knight does take physical ability, right? Because it's very hard to train in. So why would they do that? Like, is a Nemesis Dread Knight better, or is an Imperial Knight?
Imperial Knight is much better.
Okay, so why would you make a unit that is harder to use, but is worse?
Because resources.
It's the Grey Knights. They get the best of the best of the best.
I see what you're saying. Variety of army. It's a tabletop game.
That's the only reason they do it.
But
because it
no,
allows
it's
for
just like-
it allows for good fluff.
The other thing too is like not everyone has access to every STC. Like
It's the Grey Knights.
doesn't matter, man.
They literally get the best.
Does what they want.
Yeah,
Like,
but
why don't they just field an army of Titans then? Like, because resources and like, not everyone has Titans and like an Imperial Knight to like deploy. It's a process where a Grey Knight, Nemesis Dread Knight, you can teleport it in. It's deployed instantly. You don't need.
well, you could add a teleportation device, or maybe not, depending on the STC.
Yeah. And well,
Okay.
Yeah, like I know exactly what you're saying, and I agree.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, like I'm not upset
No,
that
no.
they did it.
yeah.
But
Anywho.
yeah, so 3 Nemesis Dread Knights, and they all have different weapons.
Yeah.
And then one of those would be the Grandmaster.
Yeah.
And then 20 Terminators as their
Yeah.
troop choice.
Oh, it just to me it's so thematic. It's just like when shit hits the fan, this is who you send in.
Yeah, yeah.
Like just the hardest of the hard.
Yeah, and I've been reading through like the Grey Knight Codex, and there's such good story in there.
Yeah.
Like there's one of my favorites is that there's a skull in like their grand like hall.
Yeah.
And in the skull is the soul of a demon that they've trapped in this because it was like this demon kept coming back, so they
That's it. We've had enough.
Exactly. They trap it in its own skull. They hang it on their wall, but then it takes like 40 servitors at all time. Not servitors. It takes like 40 people at all times to chant the purification rites and the wards to keep this demon in this skull. Because if and they leave it there, and it's been there for so long, for thousands of years, right?
So crazy.
It's one way to do it.
Yeah, but the cool thing is that this demon is in torment because it has to watch all their like successes and their glories as they celebrate them, and it's had to do it forever. So the Grey Knights are really sweet.
They're sweet.
Yeah.
Would you say they're worthy of their own episode, perhaps?
Mark, you tease.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, the Inquisition and Grey Knights definitely gets their own.
Yeah.
Of course. Anyways, before we just start rambling on about the Inquisition, we rabbit hole. Anything else to say before we wrap it up?
No, just excited to get together at 40K RPG.
Yeah, it'll be pretty fun.
It will be.
Cool. Maybe we'll just plug our
oh heck yeah
email address, lorehammerpodcast@gmail.com. Twitter handle, lorehammer40k.
Yeah.
And our Facebook is simply Lorehammer.
Yeah. And like if you write us a message, like we are very quick to respond because we don't do anything else with our lives. So obviously we always want to hear from you guys. Any of your theories, if we did something wrong, hit us up.
Yeah.
Let us know. Really just
Yeah, and the other thing to mention too is so we have a couple more episodes basically to get us through to the end of the year. Then in the new year, send us emails on what you want us to talk about. We have tons of ideas. There's tons of topics, but like
it's stuff we want to talk about.
It's stuff we want to talk about.
Right.
No one else wants to hear about your Imperial Knights, Mark. Yes, they do.
They will hear.
But send us like topic ideas. Like if you really want us to go more into the Mechanicum, like we know tons about it.
Yeah.
And we're more than happy to go into it.
But it's not a priority to me because I care about Black Templar and I care about Grey Knights and I care about Necron.
Yeah. So let us know. And Rio, thanks for joining us. It was fun. We'll have to have you on again sometime for something you're a little more into. I wish I knew you were really into Eldar. We would have had you for our Eldar episode.
I just like all the Xenos.
Okay.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. Do you like Tau at all?
Oh yeah.
Okay, really then we'll get you on for a Tower episode.
That'll be coming up pretty quick.
In a month or two or something.
Oh jeez, it is a while, isn't it?
It is. It's funny.
Oh man. All right. See you later, guys.
Thanks.
Peace out.